Talk.
Hello.
Okay.
How's
Wonderful.
your morning? Your morning? Because you woke up? Yes. Your
Well,
morning.
yeah, my morning, yeah. All right, wonderful. How are you, good sir? Okay, so
I'm great.
the cookie stuff, right? Before we get into the actual like meat of the podcast type thing, the cookie stuff is that like you and I both know that there's other stories that have to do with other esports players, and none of them are included in this 90-page thing, which I thought that one's really surprising. And then there's none of the stories from his Korea trip last year that are in the 90 pages.
And I don't know about that either.
Yeah.
That's 2022.
The 2022, yeah, you don't know about. Dan knows about some, and then I know about some. So that was, yeah. I mean that's the there's that debacle, right? But I guess I don't know. We don't have to touch on it too long. I can't get over. I'm trying to think how do I word this. One, he seems out like detached from reality, right? I don't know if you've seen his tweets this morning. Have you?
The apology thing. I think this is all way too fast. When a larger document like this comes out, a 90-page document, if you just rush out an apology and like just, I guess he just said like I even read it and I don't even remember what it said. It was kind of like a nothing sandwich. Like I'm sorry for like being bad in like 2020. But take your time. Wait and actually like write up a response and like explain instead of just like sending out a bunch of paragraphs saying like, yeah, I'm bad at doing all of this stuff, and I'm sorry.
Right.
Like write a response to it, and I don't know. This one might be too based. Like the other thing you can do, it might be a little too hot, but the other option is you just don't talk about it. Of course, everybody would hate that, but it's like if you don't have something to respond to or you don't have like an actual apology, you could just say nothing. There are examples of this. Like you can just like, did Hashinshin actually ever like send out like a full response and a full apology?
Yes.
Actually, no.
What? He doesn't let that down. Are you kidding? Hashinshin tweeted about the cookie stuff.
No. Back when like he got canceled for the thing.
Oh Jesus, I don't know.
I don't know. I should go.
So basically, what you're saying is
that he just kept streaming. He just kept streaming.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like he talks about this at all. But I think this is
no. He never lets it down. Hashinshin never lets it down.
To just like respond immediately and just say like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like bad at all this stuff." It's a nothing salad. I saw Sanchovi's replied to it with a minute-long video of him scrolling through it and then playing Geometry Dash because it's him making a joke like there's nothing in there. There's nothing. There's no response. There's no like actual explanation.
Right.
Yeah. Either like make an actual response or like don't.
Right. Okay. All right. We can move on from that, and we'll get into the actual substance of the podcast. All right. So first topic that I guess that we'll start on is the league patches having no changes. So one of the things that I will pull up is obviously I think a lot of people saw Nemesis's tweet. Now this isn't like a new thing, right? This is not a thing that people have not been saying for a while, that the patches really suck, right? Just in general. Let's see. So
how did we get started talking about this yesterday? Because we were just talking yesterday and we started talking about patches. I think I mentioned that when I read patches, sometimes I have a hard time remembering all the changes. So I started doing videos of patch rundowns and just posting them on my Patreon. Just like 15-minute videos, just going through the changes and like thinking about my thoughts.
Right.
Just saying them all out loud so that I could remember what actually got changed. And I did this for the past two patches. And for both of them, I said like I tried to reason out if there was meaningful changes where I would play a champion and like make different decisions because of the changes that happened to them. And I could barely find it for any champions. And I wanted to go through at least the past two patches because that's about a month of changes with you. And we can talk about like why these changes don't mean anything in terms of like how you play the champion or why you pick them. Or even how you analyze a patch. Like how do you look at a patch and you understand that the changes don't matter? because I'm sure you do this when you do patch rundowns as well. I'm sure you look at the change on a champion and you think about what the champion typically is picked to do. And you think, well, does this change in this patch prevent one of those conditions? Does it prevent a champion from reaching a goal, from getting to a point where they're really strong or where the champion can like effectively win? And I just don't see it. I mean, specifically 13.6 is a very small patch, so we can even go back as far as 13.5 if you want.
Well, let's do 13.7 because this is the one where Riot said that, I mean, this one actually has more changes in it than some of the other patches, right? But it's still a nothing sandwich.
Like 14. Yeah.
So let's just, I mean, 13.7. I mean, this is a joke of a patch. So we can, I mean, Alistar, right? He gets base armor. He goes up by 3 points, right? And then base health goes up by 15. What does this actually mean? It means that he gets about an auto or 2 auto attacks worth of HP in laning phase.
Yeah.
Okay.
So would you pick Alistar because of that auto attack? Now, maybe you do, but you have to know exactly why. What matchup does this help Alistar win? The question you have to ask, or where you have to get to the bottom of, is like, what does this actually change? Can he now lane against other melee supports and win because he has base armor and 15 more health? Can he, survive range supports in early game when his level 1 is so bad because he has this armor and his health? Like, what does it actually meaningfully change that would push you to pick Alistar, or before you weren't? And I can't find that in a lot of these patches, and I'm trying to see like how this like maybe 30 or 40 effective health could actually make a difference. But I don't know. I just don't see it. Maybe I'm not good enough at support or good enough at Alistar.
Well, no, but I mean, people also say that those types of things are make or break for the champions, but then you watch a large enough sample size of games and the players are just not good enough to make these changes meaningful. It doesn't mean that if enough games played that it doesn't become meaningful, right? Because we do see those instances occur. But could the player have not just made different decisions leading up to it? Or was it the patch that altered the decision or prevented a decision? You know what I mean? From being made. And the answer in most cases is no, right? Like Lee Sin, right? The 5% bonus AD buff to his QQ or whatever. That's not changing your decisions on Lee Sin. The fact that you're dealing 10 more damage in your combo isn't why you're picking Lee Sin all of a sudden. That's not it. That has nothing to do with it.
And maybe that 10 damage could actually help Lee Sin win a matchup where he didn't win before at certain levels, like his level 3, where he does like 5 more damage, right? And now he can win some matchup in some like niche case that you can account for.
Yeah.
But I can't account for that. And I don't know if other players are accounting for that. I don't think so. I don't see anybody talking about how the 2 AD is letting me win the Graves Lee Sin matchup, or like the Lee Sin Trundle matchup. I don't think these are breakpoints that are being pushed over in terms of these individual matchups. I think it's a lot more of what you're saying, that over the course of hundreds of games, you might just live or kill a champion by like this small HP threshold. But that shouldn't influence why you pick the champion at all.
Right.
That's
has nothing to do with it. Yes.
Because you can't account for that before the game. You don't know that's going to happen.
Yes.
You have to have foresight about these changes, about why the champion's actually stronger, for the buff to be meaningful.
Right. And a really good example of stuff like this, or variables constantly changing, or situations being altered that would not be altered before, is just have watch pro players play 1v1s and just watch the myriad of different outcomes in those 1v1s. So we can't talk about pro players utilizing one auto attack in laning phase as the make or break on picking a champion. Now, you can do that if there's 10 one auto attack equivalency patches that happen for a champion in a row. You know what I mean? Because now it's not just one micro buff. You're talking about like...
Now you treat that
like
one
game altering. Yes.
Now it's the compounding effect of
Right.
all of those buffs.
Yes.
So you look at the buff history, and instead of seeing 4 buffs,
Yes.
you could see 1 buff,
Yes.
which is all 4 of those buffs combined.
Yes.
And then you could say that is meaningful, because now if you combine all these 4 buffs, now it's like, well, maybe I have like 15 more AD and like 80 more health, and now it's like 2 or 3 auto attacks. And now you actually can account for the difference because that's within the range of what we can account for.
Yep.
So, but I don't see this for things.
Let's use an immediate thing right now where on Twitter and elsewhere, especially Korean solo queue, Graves is all of a sudden being picked a lot again because of the 13.7 changes. Okay, so
let's see.
Was having your R up 20 seconds earlier why you couldn't pick Graves? Or you know,
I love cooldowns. Thank you you for bringing this up. I love cooldowns because back when in 2021, Fudge was practicing Graves top against Renekton. We were talking about when Fleet Footwork was able to like help you outspace Renekton, and how Graves was a good answer to Renekton because as long as you could account for all of his options, you could always have a response to him. And one of the reasons why Graves was good against Renekton is because their ults had the same cooldown, 120 seconds to 120 seconds for Renekton's Dominus and collateral damage. But if Graves has a 20-second window where he has collateral damage against a champion that has a 120-second cooldown, Graves isn't really going to be the person being aggressive with his ultimate like that. The whole point is that you can respond to Renekton's ultimate with yours so that you neutralize him and then you outscale him. So the extra cooldown doesn't matter because you're just going to wait until he has his to respond to him anyway. So how am I using this 20-second cooldown? Imagine we just took the cooldown away entirely, or we made it like as short as like a 10 or a 20-second cooldown, and we used it. If you use it the same number of times against champions for combat, then it's the same as if it was a 2-minute cooldown.
Yes.
It's the number of uses and the quality of the uses.
Yes. That's a really good way. Okay, that's actually, I don't think I've ever described it that way before. The number of uses is all that actually matters, not the actual cooldown itself.
Just the amount of times that you use it. So if I'm always holding my ult to respond to Renekton's ult, then it doesn't matter if it's a 20-second cooldown or a 120-second cooldown. It matters when and how I use it.
Now, the only thing that I would say is if your champion is a champion that is actively looking to use their ultimate immediately off cooldown.
Yes.
But those are very few champions. There's very few in League that are trying to do that.
Let's think. What champion just uses their ult?
Evelyn when she's 6.
Something like Cho'Gath, Karthus. If Karthus ults got a lot lower, then he would just use it a lot more for things like First Strike.
Right. Dark Harvest stacks. Yep.
And it would be too hard to trade in lane because Karthus would always have his ult available.
Yeah, Cho'Gath's a really good one. He does use his ult off cooldown. In a lot of cases,
stacks.
right?
Yeah.
Evelyn post 6, right? She's always looking to gank with her ult up. What are other champions that use it immediately off cooldown?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some champs that are just spamming it. Oh, shit.
LeBlanc?
Maybe LeBlanc.
Maybe LeBlanc, right? Mimic?
Trading in lane.
Right. Maybe
if LeBlanc's R cooldown was like 10 seconds, then it would go into her normal trade.
Daisy. Daisy on Ivern. Because eventually she hits a point late game where you have enough ability haste to where you just summon her because she's permanently up.
Yeah. So if that was always the case, then Ivern would be a really different champion. So you have to play around. So some champions are gated by the cooldown of their ult because they would like to always have it active.
Yes.
But a lot of these, I think it's going to be specifically about, maybe not just about combat ults, because champions like some junglers are going to want to gank all the time when their ult is up. But things like Evelyn and like Lee Sin, for example, have crowd control attached to their ult. So I think specifically why a champion like Graves, the ult cooldown doesn't matter so much is because it's a response to other champions' spells. So you're really like the 20 seconds, the best cases that you're going to get out of it is when you're fighting other champions that have a shorter ult cooldown as well. Here's an example. Let's look at what is Lee Sin's ult cooldown, because maybe it is lower than 120 seconds and it's 110 seconds at rank 1. So you could imagine now that Graves will always have his ult available, even though Lee Sin is buying cooldown reduction. He should still about always have his ult available, whereas before you might have some downtime because Lee Sin's buying cooldown reduction and you need 120 seconds on your ult cooldown. But you need these justifications, or you need this foresight for how you're going to use your ult. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. You're just going to play exactly the same way.
I completely agree.
You have to be able to leverage this change. So that's how I look at the patch notes.
Right. No, exactly. So this is why. So I've been doing patch notes now for how many years? Right, 9, I think. 9 years. I've been doing. Yeah, I've been doing patch. I've only missed 2 in 9 years.
Whoa.
That's kind of
I was not aware. That's like 100. That's like 200. That's like 200 patch notes.
Dude, it's crazy. It is an absurd number of patch notes for sure. So I've done 9 years of reading patch notes, and this is what drives me insane when I talk about pro play meta stagnation. Is the patch notes are not reflective of pro play. They're like Lee Sin being picked right now, right? So a lot of people will say that it's the Lee Sin. What patch was it? Was it 3? Was it 13.3 Lee Sin?
There's no way you remember this.
Was it 13? Was it 13.2? Let me see. Ooh, error. Whoa. Oh, that's right. There was no 13.2.
What do you mean there was no 13.2?
It was 13.1b. League of Legends 13.1b. Wait, let me see. All right. Hold on. I'm getting it. Is it this? Wait, where's Lee Sin? 13.4? Lee Sin. Wait, patch notes 13.4?
13.5. Oh, 13.3.
What? I just checked 13.3. It wasn't there.
That's what it says on the wiki, is 13.3.
Am I blind? Wait, that's not a joke. I mean, wait. No, he's not here. Oh, he is. He's just not in the. Okay.
He's not in the graphic.
Okay.
That's
so.
Oh.
Okay, that's weird. They were lying to me.
In there.
It's like like my mother. Okay, so all right, Lee Sin. Let's look at these changes. So Lee Sin was buffed, and this ended up making him come back. He was everywhere after these changes, and there were professional junglers saying that the buff was a big deal on Twitter. I know because I was losing my mind reacting to it during live streams, right? So these changes: Sonic Wave physical shock damage 55 to 155 plus 100% bonus AD to 55 to 155 plus 110% bonus AD.
It's the same base stat. It's just 10% more bonus AD.
But 10% more bonus AD. Okay.
So when you buy a longsword, you get 1 extra damage.
Yeah, you buy a longsword, you get 1 extra damage in your QQ combo early game.
Yeah. That doesn't seem like that's the best buff. Resonating strike minimum physical damage is the same. Okay. Maximum damage is still. Okay, so wait, do you get 2 damage?
You get 2. You get 2. Yes. So then I said that on your first item completion, so everyone was building Chempunk or they were building Black Cleaver, right? You end up after armor and resistances go through, you get about 5 damage in your combo. So 5 damage was gating Lee Sin from professional play.
Well, you're probably not going to make any different strategic decisions. But what about the slow? What about the total damage on his E? What about his E damage? Did you test it on his E?
So his E, so it goes from 100% bonus AD. Now, E is, so 100% bonus AD to 100% total AD.
Yes.
So there's a breakpoint of this. This breakpoint doesn't come in until later. And then the slow, I mean, it goes up by 5%, right, when you get rank 2.
Yeah.
Right. So you're reducing almost tier 1 boots.
Oh, I mean, this is something I would have to look at closely. Is like how much do you actually slow? Because a lot of slows give diminishing returns when you slow like by 30 compared to 35%. Like, what is the actual difference in movement speed, and does that have any different outcomes at all? Does that actually matter that you slow somebody for 5% extra? And I have something to follow up with, because I did my own little patch review of myself, looking through some of the more recent changes. You saw Wukong's nerf.
I saw Ogren's tweet, man. I saw Ogren's tweet. Let me try to find it.
So let me So I did a little bit of testing because I imagine, so if you head over to 13.7 patch notes, this just gave me another idea that I should keep testing for things like this, especially ones that are hard to test for. I looked at his attack damage going from 68 to 66, and his Nimbus Strike bonus attack speed going from 40 at rank 1 to 35 at rank 1. And I was like, wow, well, LS, what part of Wukong's game do you think is going to be nerfed or targeted the most from a nerf like this, where you lose flat AD and flat bonus attack speed at level 1? What do you think would be harmed the most?
I would imagine it's his clear speed.
Oh, and I thought so too. So let me give you some examples. Okay, because I looked at some of the most recent games in the LPL, and I looked at this Billy series versus EDG versus BLG, and I looked at some of the Wukong clears.
Yep.
So I recreated them on the nerfed Wukong patch. So let me send you some videos, because here is the game 3 clear, where I think JJ does a 4 camp at 256. And I clear a couple seconds faster post nerf Wukong.
Make sure that this is being captured. So, okay, so in BLG, they clear at what?
I put in the title.
Oh, okay, so in EDG game 3, the 4 camp was 256, but you managed to do it faster.
Yeah.
On the nerfed Wukong.
Yes.
Okay.
And you can see that I do the same camps in the same order as him, but my Raptors die at 253.
Okay.
I do that again for the same thing in game 5, when Wukong is on BLG's team.
You came prepared, I see. Okay. Okay. So wait, so what is this? So BLG game 5, the professional Wukong cleared at 330 on a non-nerfed Wukong. And you managed to do what?
The same camp with mistakes. I'm not the best Wukong player in the world, okay? I'm making mistakes out here. I'm not clearing perfect.
Okay.
You can see on the Raptors here, I'm not confident.
Okay.
And I click backwards.
So basically, okay. So again, your main point is that pros aren't optimizing their clears anyway.
So you're not losing time, because you're already losing time by not clearing right.
Okay. So then why? Okay. So why does Augurin say that Wukong's dead?
I think the numbers are more intimidating than the actual outcome. When you look at the numbers, I think your mind fills in the blanks for what should happen without the test of what actually happened. And then maybe, because there's more changes than this, your W, the cooldown of your W got changed from 22 to 14 to 22 to 12. Because,
right.
As Riot said, the Wukong players were putting too many points into their W because it gave too many stats for each point up. But when you're buying CDR, it's more effective on a 14-second cooldown than a 12-second cooldown. You're getting more time off.
Right.
So when you're making it to 30 and 40% cooldown, this is not a 2-second nerf.
Right. Wukong has a lot of ability haste in his build. Yeah.
So it's going to end up being like a 1-second nerf. It's going to end up being like a 1.2 to 1.4 second nerf.
Right.
It's not this 2-second nerf. And why? What difference does this make anyway? Like, are you playing team fights and then you're dying because of your 1-second cooldown on Wukong? Like maybe, but these are conclusions you have to make when you actually play Wukong.
Yes, or when you make the claim that a champion is viable or non-viable because of their current stats. So. Okay, so this fast forwards to me, or the point that I have, right, on when people read or the way that they interpret patch notes. Because I think what you're saying is accurate, right? They see the numbers and they think that the numbers are worse than they are because they don't grapple with all of the mental images of what does it actually mean or change. And I think that if pro players or pro teams could do this better, then we wouldn't be as dependent on placebo nerfs or placebo buffs to alter the meta.
Interesting. Okay.
You want to see a really gross example? So do you remember when Renekton? Let me actually find Renekton fandom. So this was my Renekton arc where I started saying that Renekton was broken, and it was only a matter of time until he got picked again. So it was last year in season 12, right?
I already have Renekton's wiki
Okay.
page open.
Look at the amount of buffs that this guy got.
Yeah.
He kept getting base buffs, and then they gave Dominus AD, right? Where's the Dominus?
They
increased the tick. New effect. Yeah, here it is. 1213. Now scales off 5% bonus AD per tick. Look at the changes.
So what if you combined all of these buffs and you removed the specification, like 12.17, 12.14, and you just made it like a buffs section, right? Where back before in like season 11, he was this champion, and now in season 12, he got these 5 buffs, right? I think that's in the realm of being accounted for, that you have so much extra damage that it's almost like you're playing a little bit different of a champion, because you have so much access to new damage. So you have to relearn like when he can kill people, when you can dive, what your cooldowns are actually like, because your cooldowns keep getting changed. But you have to treat this all as like one big change, instead of just seeing it all as like its individual differences. So I think a lot of people read the patch notes in isolation as well. So they see the change that happened that day, and then they try to draw a conclusion on the champion. But you have to take the champion's history into account. You have to look at basically a full year of combined changes to really understand how the champion is worse or
different.
Better than it used to be. Yes, what actually is different? Because when a champion gets changed this much, are they the same champion? When his base health gets increased to 660 from 590, like, oh, that's like a 70 health difference. That's like an auto attack or two. Especially in like early game, that's already like kind of impactful. If like pro players are playing 1v1s, like you try to take that into account, that you have an extra 70 health. What the hell? Why did he get so many stat buffs?
Why did Renekton get so many? Exactly. Yes. And then I was losing my mind because I was the iconic Renekton hater. Right? That was me. I was the anti-Renekton guy. And when I was doing the patch rundowns, people can literally go back in my patch rundowns and watch, 12-10. They can look at my reaction to 12-9, 12-13, 12-14, 12-17 when he got the Dominus and everything buffs and the AD buffs, etc. And I was pushing for Renekton. I was saying that Dominus should make him a natural bruiser and that he should go glass cannon. And he still wasn't being picked yet. And it wasn't until maybe the end of summer, I remember Arnold messaged me when Renekton finally got picked, because it was like celebratory in a way that like he's finally back and people finally realized. But it's like what you're saying. It's the compound of all the buffs together, and it changes the champion, and it alters it, right? Because he wasn't a lethality glass cannon. But the buffs made it so that made the most sense to do that now. Yeah.
That had got so many stat buffs, and now if you buy Prowler's Claw, you don't get one shot. This is the goal.
So you gain EHP because you save EHP by deleting them.
Yes, that if you just kill them really quickly. But like, just reading these changes, I don't know that 100%. But if I'm analyzing a patch, I'm trying to think about different ways I can make like strategic decisions picking a champion. So if they get a lot of stat buffs, I'm thinking, well, if I buy lethality, if I buy a lot of damage on them, can they survive fighting against other bruisers? Can they live a combo? Because if you build glass cannon in full damage and you can survive a combo, well then you'll kill them. You'll one-shot Gnar, for example, if you can get on him. So like that's the idea that you start with by looking at all of the patch notes, and then you have to try to put into practice. That's like the research part of it, and then you have to put it into practicality by actually testing it. Right. But I think a lot of times what I see instead is in a patch in isolation or a specific change in isolation being taken as like the conclusion itself. And that's such a fraction of it. That's like maybe 1/5 is like looking at the change. You have to look at the history. You have to have an idea for how the champion is going to play strategically differently. And then you actually have to put it into practice to like have the outcome be true or not. It's just fragmented.
Let me ask you a random question. It's kind of like a quiz here. When you read the Catalyst of Aeons, what do you immediately think of when you read Catalyst of Aeons? Karibo is howling because McDonald's has arrived.
Okay. Sorry. I read chat for a second. They told me to turn myself up, so I made myself a little bit louder.
Okay.
I immediately think of Gragas. Okay. I don't know if you do, but I play Gragas. So I immediately think of my 1100 gold item that I can get faster than people who buy items like Lost Chapter or Noon Quiver, that I can match buys like Serrated Dirk and Mercury Treads or Ninja Tabi, that I can beat items like Hex Drinker as well.
Yep.
And that when I get that change from 1100 to 1300, I can't get the same sort of recalls to beat other items. So I lose a strategic advantage when I'm playing a champion like Gragas, because my sustain in the lane is cut short because it happens later in the lane and against stronger items now. So I don't have the same sort of access to resources because the item is more expensive. Even if it's better because it gives me more stats, it doesn't come at the right time.
By how much?
Well, so one wave is, I need to know which wave I'm going to get it on, which I actually don't know. And I should probably know which wave you get
102 gold and 162 gold.
But which wave do you get 1100 gold on? Because it might be a cannon wave.
Right. But the total cost has gone up by 200. So it doesn't matter which way you look at it.
I think it would matter because of the time that it takes to kill the cannon wave.
Oh, you think that you would have excess is what you're saying.
40 gold.
Huh?
Yeah. If it takes me 20 seconds to kill the cannon wave, that's another 40 gold. So I think it does matter if the wave that you would get Catalyst on is a cannon wave. And you have to know that. Otherwise, like, it doesn't matter.
Right, but you're probably not recalling on a cannon wave. Don't you agree?
Oh, you're recalling after the cannon wave. You're right. Before.
You're recalling before a cannon wave. Right, that's what I mean.
Before.
Right.
Sorry.
So I think in most cases, it's always 2 waves.
Yes, you're recalling before the cannon wave. So now you would have to wait until after the cannon wave.
Yes.
So now you're a wave later.
You're locked in lane a minute to a minute and 40 seconds longer, which is a really big deal. That's a huge victory for Lost Chapter users in mid too.
Yes, it's really big.
That's massive. But it's massive because of game timer. Yes.
When I'm locked in lane like that, I start tier on Gragas, and I think most people start tier and Sapphire on Gragas.
Right.
So when you're locked in lane for longer, you're not winning the lane when you have your tier or your Sapphire. You're just queuing. You're just queuing the wave, and you're waiting. And then when you get Catalyst, now you're online, and now you can use your spells constantly, and you can like abuse the health regen that the Catalyst gives you and the tankiness the Catalyst gives you. Just keep using your passive and keep trading, and eventually you whittle champions down, and then you make them recall.
Right.
But now if you have to wait longer, champions that are fighting against you when you have tier or Sapphire are going to get a bigger advantage against you when you don't have your item. And then when you do get your item, they will have a similar item of strength to yours, like Hex Drinker. Hex Drinker. You can have Noon Quiver. Now you buy Mercury Treads.
So we're talking about something that the champion can't really do anything to also play around. Do you know what I mean? Like Wukong, we've already established that players were not players were not. So actually, I'm gonna have another like mini quiz for you here, but you're gonna have to dig back in patch history. So Wukong pro players already were not optimizing his clears. Right? So the Wukong nerfs don't actually impact the purpose for why you pick Wukong in pro play. The Wukong nerfs will not and should not prevent you from picking Wukong going forward. If it does, it means that you don't actually understand why you're picking him anyway. The Catalyst of Aeons, it does impact that because it directly, I guess, grapples with Riot's static game stuff. The gold, right? And the timer
does remove time. So like I showed that you don't lose time, at least compared to the players who are clearing with Wukong professionally. But to buy Catalyst on Gragas, I'm now losing valuable time.
Yes.
Because having the item faster is a big advantage because of the item's passive. But
so there was a champion that had a gold reduction buff on a key item at one point in time. And it was pushed forward as a very big change by Riot. And I and some other mid laners pointed out that it didn't actually do anything for players that were already good at CSing. Do you know what champion that was?
Oh, what? Can you repeat this?
So Riot reduced the gold cost of a certain item.
Okay.
For a champion.
Reduced the gold cost.
Yes. Okay. However, the way that the lane would go anyway at the pro level, or like when you would be looking to recall anyway, okay, it would not actually alter anything because people who are good at CSing were going to over recall anyway.
Fuck. Oh my god.
But it's like one of those things where it looks really nice when you read it in patch notes, but it doesn't have any practical transformation in the game.
I don't remember this. I'm too
Okay,
much
it's
of a
Victor.
noob. What did they reduce?
The hex core. Back when he had his item?
A long time ago.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is a long time ago. Yeah, it's a blast of the past, dude. I've been doing patch notes for, you know? Like,
okay. So is this reduced? I think it was 1250 to 1050, something like that.
So, yeah, it was one of those changes, remember? Yes. But you had to stay in the wave anyway because of the way that everything worked with the laning and the recalling on certain minion waves with cannons and stuff. You know what I mean? So if you were CSing correctly anyway, you would have enough gold.
Oh, it was 1250 to 1150.
Yes.
And yeah, that might not matter at all.
That might, right, it didn't matter at all. And I remember going through VODs on stream of pro players, and they would over-recall anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
8.18.
Yes, there you go.
Wow.
Very fun, very fun. Nice blast of the past, dude. But that's another really good example of so I think so you told me that you're just getting into reading patch notes. I think if you do this for a couple of years and you're constantly think about these things, I think I'm not perfect. I've had major blunders, right? Viego, I think, was my biggest blunder ever. I thought Viego was going to be shit, man. Thought he was going to be so fucking bad.
When he came out?
When he came out. Me and Nemesis used to call him the Ruin Champ, right? Before he came out, not the Ruin King. Viego was a massive blunder, and then I'm trying to think what the other one was. I know I had two really big misses. But I think in general, if you do this for a long enough time and you're constantly thinking about these things, reading patch notes becomes like a different beast. And then you start to get mad when you're reading them.
Huh? Yeah, well, it's frustrating if someone just reads a patch in isolation without reading the history of a champion or testing any like research on it, and they just say like, "Oh, this is this," but like you're dealing with two different champions, one that is changed and one that is unchanged,
right?
And you also have to see it in a bigger scope. I think League of Legends players just struggle with this in general.
Functional fixedness.
Even when they're playing ranked, then like. Just in like a few games, I think most people see like their ranked history as like their past 20 games or less, when it's really like their past 100 or like past 200 games. So in the same way, I think like our I guess I'm saying our frame of reference is so small for what we think about these sort of changes, because a champion that gets changed, that would like when I look at like 13.1b, or I guess 13.7 is a better one. When I look through these champions, I'm going to their patch history for almost all of these to see like what is actually different about this champion, because I don't know, looking at Callista, the past 2 years of her changes. So I have to remind myself when she gets changed, like what is actually different. And maybe she received 6 buffs in a row. Oh, you did this with MF.
Yes.
Do you remember this? You did this with MF too. You looked at her patch history. Let me do this.
You mean APMF right now?
No, this was a while ago. You looked through her patch history and said that she had gotten buffed over the course of like several years.
Yes.
But you need a large frame of reference to be able to do that. If you just look at a singular patch, like MF might not even have gotten changed. It might have just been like an item that MF buys. But if you're seeing that as a buff to MF, and then you go to MF's patch history and you see 6 changes over the course of 2 years, that becomes your frame of reference for that patch.
Right. And it also, so you know, how many pro players have you met that actually don't read patch notes?
That don't read?
Yes.
I don't know.
Would you say over 50% or under 50%?
Way under 50% don't read it. Yes.
Okay.
Few people. I think almost every pro player I talk to reads it. Yeah.
Okay. So for me, I feel like most pros don't read. They don't read. They'll read if it affects a champion that they're playing, but not everything.
I think they look at it. What do you mean by read?
Okay. So what I mean by that is, yes. So what I'm saying is they don't remember the 8 changes in a row to a champion if it's not on their radar. You know what I mean?
Yes. So I don't think that like pro players I talk to are not going into the patch history of like Graves, right, to see every single change and then using that as their frame of reference. I don't really talk to anybody who's like I see very few people going through like the whole patch history, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just not perceptive enough to like see people do it. But I like typically I don't see that.
Yeah.
It's time consuming. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of focus to do this for every champion, because you go into a patch, and this is why I started doing these patch reviews, because when I look at a patch and I see 14 champions getting changed, that's a lot of work to look through and see if these changes are impactful, and then have a frame of reference of like years.
Right.
Things like item changes.
Yes, you have to remember like all the changes that have happened to them. Yes, exactly.
It's so much.
Yes.
So yeah, a lot of people can't be bothered to like go through all of that effort.
Yes.
And in some ways they're not incentivized to, because a lot of the champions aren't ones that they are going to play.
Right.
So if I look at a patch, like if I look at 13.7 and I'm a player, the only champions I'm going to look at for me, if I'm like a top laner, I'm going to look at Olaf, because Olaf top is commonly played.
Yep.
Maybe I'll look at Alistar, because I'm thinking about Alistar top as a counterpick to Jax, something like that.
Yep.
Maybe I'll look at something like Annie, in case Annie is nerfed and like we're flexing Annie top because we're too good. And then after that, I'm like done, because the Sejuani changes for jungle and it's a nerf. Like I think I'm just done reading the patch notes from the perspective or from the frame of reference as a top laner at that point.
Right.
And in that idea, it should be easy to go through.
You went really silent.
Sorry, my mic keeps changing the volume on its own. I think it's because I'm getting loud sometimes. My mic's trying to adjust for me.
Okay.
That sucks. In that frame, actually, I kind of made it easier. I made it easier for pro players to be like, well, if there's only 3 champions that I'm looking through, then it should be easier and more reasonable for me to go through the patch history. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes.
Where now, if there is only 3 champions that you're playing, then maybe you should go through the patch history, and maybe you should like look through all this stuff and have the frame of reference of a long time, so that you actually know if these champions are good for your role.
Yep.
So I kind of made the argument against that, where it's actually not that hard. But to go through all 14 champions, that is hard. It does take a lot of time and a lot of focus.
Yeah. And why would you do that if you're not, if those champions also don't have to do with your role?
Yeah, I don't think you're incentivized to.
Right. You're not. You're right. So like, let's look at one more change from 13.7, and then we'll pull up the 13.8 changes, right? Where Nemesis made the comment that, you know, it's another month with. Now, I will be honest with you. I'm losing my mind. That like this year is insufferable, right? Lucian Nami, Zeri Lulu, you know, the entire year. This was the most that I ever co-streamed and live viewed ever, like historically. Like the weeks were, they were something else, right? So seeing the same thing everywhere was just overwhelming. So
where did you see the most diversity?
The most diversity is in Europe, I think. I would say in terms of a lot of that is also because of Adam. Adam introduced Olaf and Darius.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I was having people on for live viewings and stuff, and we were thinking that when they lose to Adams, Darius, and Olaf, they're not going to say Olaf and Darius are legitimate champions. They're going to say they got cheesed.
Ooh,
do you know what I mean?
I love this one too. When you were talking to the balance team in that podcast you had, they said something that, I mean, we've said this because it's this intuitive feeling that we had, and they said it as if it was like statistically or analytically true, and I believe it is, that the best indicator for success, either like climbing or success on a champion, is the champion mastery, or like how good you are at the champion. Right. That Adam just plays so much Darius.
Yes.
And other people aren't willing to put in the time to get to that point. And I remember you asking them questions about why don't we see like new champions that are like more diverse? Why don't we see like other people picking up like one tricks or other like champions that people have spent so much time playing and try to emulate that? And then they were talking about things like opportunity cost for pro players. Yeah. That they are not incentivized to play Darius like Adam because he spent so much time picking Darius because that was his one trick in solo queue.
Right.
So other people have a lot of catching up to do, and they don't believe that it's worth it. They don't feel like they're incentivized enough to spend all that time. yeah, that stuff was so interesting. And then you kind of have to, I don't know, like you sort of, if you're not thinking about it like that, you sort of end up just making an excuse. Like, yeah, this is like a cheese champion, or like, I'll beat it next time, or like, I'll have some like other pick against it instead of picking it up yourself.
Right.
Because it doesn't feel like it's worth it to do that.
Now, the really cool thing is that we didn't get that. Instead, a lot of the European top laners adopted Darius and Olaf. Now, also, there's been other incidences, right? Faker's Gragas. The argument is not that pro players can't learn these champions. It's that they don't want to, right? And a really good indicator of this is go to all of their OPGGs, every single one. Go to every single pro player's OPGG. Click their most played champions for the last 6 years. And then notice that they're always the same.
Yeah, that is the same, like 7 through 11 champions.
It's exactly. It's the same 7 through 11. And all that happens, and I think that one of the best examples of this is like Summit, right? When I was talking about Summit, where his few champions, his like 3 or 4 champions, they could almost be indefinitely rotated. Do you know what I mean? Because when Nar's really good, then, or like if Gnar and Renekton is really good, then Camille might be like really bad, or like Jace might be bad, or something like that. And then when Gnar and Renekton get nerfed, maybe Camille's viable again, or Jace is viable again. So now I'll just play Jace and Camille. And now if Jace and Camille are viable again, maybe Gnar and Renekton are still like passable. I can just keep playing these 4 champions. What is the likelihood that Riot hits every single champion? Do you know what I mean? To the point where you just can't keep looping them.
It hasn't really happened.
It's never happened. Right.
And I think they talked about that.
You got really low. You got really silent.
Dude, this mic is trolling me.
Yeah, it is. You got to get a Shure mic.
Shure microphone.
Oh, you have a Shure mic?
I have a Shure mic.
Oh.
And it's turning down without me inputting.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe there's a hacker in my computer turning the volume down.
That's it, actually. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that might be it. Oh fuck. No, I lost it. I had it. It's the same champions.
And you went really low. You went really silent.
He's fucking with me.
Okay. Yeah.
He's here. He's in the computer. Okay. So I'm just playing like the same 4 champions, trying to get back into it, trying to remember what I was going for. The same 4 or so champions. It's unlikely that Riot will actually nerf all 4 of them. Fuck, I lost what I was gonna say. No. Hold on. It's coming to me.
Okay.
Oh,
Any day now.
No. My old man brain. No. It's such a disaster. I can't remember. I feel like a senior citizen.
Oh my god.
Short-term memory loss. Like, I can't believe it. Just
we're talking about the looping of champions, Jace, Gnar, Camille on loop. Right? That was like a really good example. In pro play, they're not incentivized. They just loop the same 7 champions. Riot doesn't do anything to like hit all of them at once.
Man, I got nothing. I'm so dumb.
I mean, we see this rotation in mid lane, right? We see Azir Corki. Right?
Oh, they talked when you're having your podcast. I listened to this for like 2 hours yesterday. This podcast, and they talked about how there were different like seasons of the rotation. And for mid lane, it sounded like the most detailed, where they were like talking about it was like Azir, Orianna
Victor,
Syndra.
Oh, Syndra.
Syndra.
Yep.
And then Victor, Azir.
Yep.
And then Corki and something else. And it was like they knew that these champions would go together.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yep.
And that like they were cycled specifically along with each other.
Yes.
All the time. It was really interesting that they could basically tell from the analytics, like, and they were ahead of it, like which champions were going to be strong and how that cycle would go through. And then like there would be like assassins after champions like Corki. They were talking about how they introduced Ahri.
It's because of the themes.
It's
just like a trading card game. It's just like a trading card game, right? That I've been screaming to the sky for years about. It's just a trading card game. Now, sure, there's mechanics that exist in the game, but you still load into the game with your selected deck, right? And you're going to then have to mechanically pilot it, sure. But it's still a trading card game. Theme counters still exist.
That's so interesting. Because a lot of times it won't be so apparent that that's happening.
Right.
I don't know if like a lot of people would be able to verbalize that that's what's happening. They'd be able to talk just in terms of the champions themselves, right?
Right.
And I think what you're doing is you're taking the frame of reference outside of specifically League of Legends.
Right.
But that the process is still happening, the thematic process. Because
Yes.
I mean, it's exactly what they're talking about. The champions kind of loop on the cycle, but it doesn't seem like there's a huge awareness of that.
Right.
And if there was a big awareness of that, you might actually see a break from it. But that the incentives all have to line up for that to be there. It has to be like the winningest team in the best position, seeing the cycle and then getting ahead of it. But yeah, I kind of doubt actually this will happen. I think we'll actually loop champions for a long time.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm actually talking about ways that where you can get diversity, but I kind of doubt it. I think you're just going to see the same champions.
Of course we are. Of course we are. Of course we are.
I mean, what do you think? I did have a question I wanted to ask.
But no. I think that we are going to keep seeing the same champions. But this is why
we're like repetitive, where it was a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
If you were the balance team, how would you structure this MSI patch so that you could get like outcomes that you think were really cool for viewers?
I would try to think about the nerfs that would make the pro players freak out the most to the meta champions. I would take a look at like the 40 most popular champions in the game. And I would look at every single champion's defining ability, right? Because the champions have a defining ability. It's the ability that causes them to be picked. What's Camille's? It's her hook shot.
Hook shot.
Hook shot is her defining ability. Okay, what's Ezreal's?
Ezreal's is...
Mostly it's his Q.
Probably his Q, but I think it's a mixture of his Q and his E.
Okay, yeah, okay. Okay. All right. What is, I don't know, what's Victor's?
Laser,
yeah. Okay, what's Syndra's?
Scatter of the Weak.
Yeah, okay. So
yeah,
let's look at the champion's core defining abilities, and then what is a way that we can nerf it to make, or look at all their other abilities. Don't nerf the defining ability. The real reason that it's getting picked, right? And then nerf everything else. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, nerf the things around it.
Nerf the things around it to make pro players overreact, because that's what they do. They overreact to placebo nerfs and placebo buffs. They do it all the time. We see it with Lee Sin. We see it with Wukong, right? Oghren, one of the best junglers in Europe, probably the best solo queue jungler player in all of Europe, overreacting to the Wukong change because it doesn't actually do anything.
I'm sure he'll still play Wukong. I hope.
Oh, of course he will. Or he'll forget about the change and then randomly play Wukong again one day. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That happens a lot.
Yeah. Because when you, some of this is like very, it's a lot about recency too. Where if you
recency
take a
bias
champion and come back and play it, if you win a few games, like when you come back to a champion, it feels really good, and then you remember all like the success you had with the champion.
Right.
I still have champions from like that I played from like season 7. That when I pick up and play in like season 12 or season 13, I'm like, because I'm good at the champion, because I played them for hundreds of games, I'm like, wow, this champion feels really good. But really, I just have like I just have a higher champion mastery than I do for like an actual new champion. Like Cassandra,
right?
Out, right? I'm not going to be as good at Cassandra as I am at Jarvan or Gragas, because I played hundreds of games Jarvan and Gragas.
Do you remember?
They're way better.
Do you remember the round circle question at C9 that I asked all the players? I said, "What makes a champion good?"
It's really hard to answer.
It was in Korea.
It's such a hard question to answer.
It is. It's very, very difficult. What makes a champion good? But I think it also says something a lot when people actually realize they can't answer it.
Yeah, it brings an awareness to like the complexity of every champion, and that a lot of times we boil down champions to like very basic ideas. But champions are so complicated; it's hard to understand exactly why they're good. Or
why was season 9 Karthus so good?
Season 9, just trying to remember. It had to do with jungle experience and runic echoes and his clear speed, especially relative to other junglers who were like focused heavily on ganking. That he was able to get like natural 2-level leads just by clearing, and as long as he could survive invades against champions like it was like Lee Sin, I think Graves,
Xin Zhao.
Oh, is Xin Zhao Camille?
Xin Zhao Camille is season 8.
That's season 8.
Yeah.
Okay, but since I was so popular in season 9,
yeah, he's still very popular.
As long as he could survive these champions early game, he hit level 9 faster than them and accelerated so fast.
Yes, because of the EXP breakpoint. Yep.
There was so much responsibility on the early game jungler to get a massive lead because as opposed to in season 13 when it's really easy to keep up an EXP from the camps, back then it was really hard. If you were fighting against a Karthus and he hit level 9 and you were level 7, he would probably 3-level you by the time that he was level 12. You're probably level 9, just getting to that EXP buff. It was really hard to play against because of his acceleration. But I think that's it. I think so. That's why Karthus was strong. But
so yes, so I would say it's a combination of things, right? I would think one, it's his clear speed allows him to do things 30-40 seconds faster than other junglers that would be doing the same thing as him, right?
Yeah,
if another jungler
time is a huge variable,
right? If another jungler was presented with ungankable lanes, Karthus is able to just be 40 seconds ahead of them, right? And then because of the jungle respawn timers in EXP, Karthus was able to hit breakpoints faster than you were, and there was nothing that you could do about it, right? I would also argue that his damage was a direct violation of the game. He should not have been able to do as much base damage or scaling damage, right, relative to how quickly he could accumulate gold, relative to the pace of the game timer, because minion spawns at a fixed rate, which means that laners can only possibly be certain levels at certain points. Because Karthus's clear speed is so fast relative to the jungle respawn timers, Karthus is able to hit level breakpoints and acquire enough gold to amplify his damage, and that number is directly lined up against champions' base HP levels.
Ooh.
And it's too high.
Ooh.
So Karthus is violating a lot of things that is uninteractive for the opponents. They can't interact with it.
Yes, is that you only have a couple chances to stop him?
Yes.
And if you don't stop him, there's not counterplay.
Right, there's no counterplay.
You have to interrupt his first clear.
Yes.
You have to interrupt his second clear. And if that doesn't happen, he's ahead and going too fast.
So this is an example of a champion that violates the game. This is a champion that must be banned. We don't actually have many champions like this in modern day League of Legends.
It doesn't.
Right. Go ahead.
Things don't go like that. I mean, there's champions that hit breakpoints that make them do things really fast. You're talking about how Karthus can interact with time in a really abusive way that isn't good for interacting with him. You can't really interact with him because he interacts with time like that because he does things so fast. There are some champions. I mean, Ravenous Hydra was really broken. That was an interaction with time. That was so fast. That was really abusive and hard to interact with. And we still see that with champions like Olaf in top lane, that if you don't punish Olaf early game, he generates so much time for his team because he's able to kill a wave in under 2 seconds. Normal waves in under 2 seconds, and cannon waves in a little bit longer. So that he's able to have basically all the time in the world to invade your respawning camps, to walk through river and and pick fights with anybody, taking summoner spells like Ghost and Flash so that he can kill your jungler. Where there's so much extra time that he has that once he gets Ravenous Hydra, it's very hard to interact against him. And those things feel very abusive to play against. That he just gets that item and they so
because
fast.
he's playing a single player game.
Yeah. All
that's
I have to
the
do
problem.
Is not lose to the enemy jungler,
and
then buy my item, and then it's just I'm just farming.
Yes, exactly. He's playing single player. Typically, champions that violate the game are playing single player in some ways. But in modern League of Legends, we see the pick bans all around the world right now. There's no champions that violate the game. The current balance of the game is actually so good that there's no game violating champions.
But is that fun to watch?
No, it's not fun to watch when pro players can't. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. I do think that there's micro examples of game violation. For instance, I think Fiddlesticks is a game violation. I think his R is a game violation. Go ahead and look at Fiddlesticks' R base damage at level 1, and then slap a Fiendish Codex on it. Okay, just look at it really quick. Fiddlesticks. Tell me that that's not a game violation.
How much damage is this thing doing? All right, pulling this up. Crow Storm. Magic damage per tick is this quarter second. Okay. So what is the total damage? 750.
Plus 250% AP. That's not a game violation?
Okay, so if I buy... what if I buy Sorcerer Shoes? What if I buy...
Dude.
Oh, shit.
What is a champion's base HP at level 7? Let's say that you have 1 level up on Fiddlesticks. What is... All right, name me an 80 carry right now. Aphelios?
Sure. I think he actually has pretty high...
Aphelios lol. Okay. What the hell? Wait, is this it?
Maybe Misfortune has higher health. Do Misfortune after that.
Okay. Well, I'm choosing like a popular 80 carry right now.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Aphelios has 1074 at level 7. Why is Fiddlesticks' R almost 100? I mean, it's 100 zeroing him.
Yeah.
Okay, Fiddlesticks' R is 800 radius. That's 800 radius, AoE, and Fiddlesticks usually is always like hitting you as soon as he Rs. Maybe there's a quarter second or like half a second where you're not inside of it. That's a game violation. Champion shouldn't have that much damage.
Yeah. It's all a test to see if he can make it there.
I mean, right? That's it, like, right? That's it.
It's like, can you do the clear? Can you avoid the invades? Can you, right?
Yes, there was a Champions Queue game from last Worlds. It was a random solo queue jungler, and there was LPL and LCK players in the game with, I think, half a core item. He had like boots and half a core item. He ultied onto 3 targets in mid lane. My chat would maybe remember this, like, because I was doing all the Champions Queue live viewing. And he killed 2 of them and almost killed the other one. There's no jungler in the game that could do that. And it's not even an unreasonable ask. We're not talking about a champion that's fed. We're not talking about an unrealistic, ultimate or like situation.
Wow. This is a lot of damage.
That is it doesn't make...
Because 250 AP, if I buy a blasting one, that's 100 extra damage.
It is disgusting, man. This champion. Why is he unpicked for years?
Well, he's definitely not easy.
I know he's not easy, but come on, Aphelios isn't easy. Like, what?
Oh, Aphelios is not easy. But I imagine Aphelios is way more fun to play than Fiddlesticks, because Fiddlesticks, when you mess up, it's very sad.
Sure. When you mess up as him, he feels real bad. Yeah.
And if you're behind, you're not offering much to your team. Your ult's a very long cooldown. You're probably getting invaded on most of your camps.
Well, no. Fiddlesticks stacks ability haste. All of his items give a lot of ability haste.
What's his mythic? Does he buy like
Leandries?
Night Harvester? Leandries. Interesting. So
because it amplifies the magic damage.
You gotta buy Sorc shoes though. You can't buy more CDR.
Do you need to buy Sorc shoes with that much base damage? I mean, you're incentivized to for sure.
I haven't played Fiddle.
Right. The damage is so high that you start actually asking almost counterintuitive questions because it's a violation.
Do I need to buy more damage?
Right. Imagine a champion has so much max percent HP damage, right? And they have like really good like AD ratios, but they have so much max percent HP. Do you need to build AD? No. Just build tank.
Yeah, just apply your abilities.
Just apply your abilities, right?
Yeah, because your abilities are doing all of it.
You got really silent again.
I'm contacting Sure. Okay. I'm sending in a ticket.
All right. All right. So the Fiddlestick. All right. Let's move on now to actually looking at 13.8. So Nemesis's tweet, which I retweeted, you saw it as well. He said another month of no changes. This is the MSI patch.
Ooh.
I believe. Might be.
The MSI patch.
I think this is the MSI patch. So let's see what. I mean, let's go down the list. Are you going to now pick Alistar because his ultimate lasts 1.5 seconds longer?
I went through this whole thing already. That I tried to figure out, like, maybe you can dive people with Alistar, combo, and then wait a second, use your ult, and then combo again. No, it's because your Q and your W are both 14-second cooldowns. So even if you have
you're not even getting an extra combo.
you maybe get an extra spell, but not really. Not because of this. Where you just take less damage, but I don't think you're making any different like strategic decisions about who you can dive or like what's actually like. I don't know. I'm not gonna pick Alistar because his ult is another 1.5 seconds. If that doesn't unlock the ability for me to like interact with champions in a different way,
if he wasn't already
wait
good,
out a different spell. Yeah, if he wasn't already good, like this isn't pushing him over anything.
Right.
It's not giving him anything like new and meaningful.
Okay.
Because I can't see how this 1.5 seconds interacts with his cooldowns.
Right.
Maybe it interacts with other champions' cooldowns, but I'm not able to account for that. Oh, maybe I suck at Alistar.
Okay. Let's go Ezreal, 60 to 62 AD.
Yeah, I mean, if you hit somebody 5 times, that's 10 more damage that has to go through armor. So maybe you get like 6 or 7 damage. You can multiply that by however much you want, but over the course of hundreds of Ezreal games, or thousands of Ezreal games, I'm sure you'll get some kills because of the 2 AD, but that's not why you're picking Ezreal, because of like hundreds of thousands of games. You're picking Ezreal for that one game that you're playing in Champ Select. Then you're picking Ezreal. So you have to pick him based on what he can already do. And I don't think this change is meaningful for that. Now, for all these changes, you have to look at the patch history. You have to see
exactly. Yes.
Your frame of reference has to be a lot larger than this. But these changes, in isolation at least, I don't think are doing anything. Before
we move on to Garen really quick, I want to point out that one of the things that this change does is it alters Ezreal's TDD, total damage dealt. Mm-hmm. So to the Timmies, or people that don't understand what's going on, and they can't realize that the change does not have transformative value in laning phase, or it does not have transformative value at dragon fights or baron fights, and it does not have transformative value to elder fights or mid lane standoffs, you know what I mean, pro player like ultra high MMR, etc. His total damage dealt will go up by, 1k or something. Like the average TDD that Ezreal deals in a game goes up. And then people will point at that and be like, he's doing so much more damage. No, he's not. No, he's not.
Well, the number went up, but the positive outcomes that he got from dealing damage might not have changed at all. You have to specifically identify where the buff rewarded you with an outcome that you would not have got without the buff.
Right.
And I think for 2 AD, that's so hard to account for, even after the fact.
Right.
Before the fact, hell no, you're not seeing Ezreal and you're like, with my 2 AD, I'm going to go in for this all in against this MF Janna. And I know that at 352 health and 29 armor, my 2 AD is going to kill her on the 7th auto attack instead of the 8th auto attack, like on patch 13.7.
Right.
Everybody knows that, dude. That's not happening. You don't have that type of foresight. You're making all the same decisions anyway. You just happen to deal more damage, and you don't even know if it's actually helping you, just because you're dealing more damage.
Right. So. All right, let's go Garen. 66 to 69, base armor 36 to 38.
I mean, it's the same change as Ezreal. Like I get 3 AD and 2 armor, but like what's actually the difference? I'm trading with Garen for all the same reasons and all the same spots in all the same ways. Like my outcome is going to be slightly better, but that might not even matter. I might be recalling with 100 health anyway. And then did that armor even matter? Did that AD even matter? If I'm recalling with 100 health and the opponent recalls with 100 health, like the times where this actually matters, and it will sometimes you'll live with 5 HP, but all of the strategic decisions you'll make up until that point, like don't interact with that buff specifically. And there are changes where this is true. Like, you remember the Vayne change? The Vayne change, you actually play Vayne differently now.
Yes.
You actually make
when the change alters the way that you play the champion, yes.
Now, her W is great at rank 1, and her Q is great to put points into. And she interacts with crit better now.
People are gonna hate this because I always do this Magic the Gathering, right? I'm gonna pull up, like a Planeswalker or something, right? Same character, right? Oh my god, did I just spell that wrong?
Can you buff a Planeswalker in a way that doesn't matter?
No. I'm gonna show Jace Beleren, right? Okay, is this showing on stream? Okay, it is. So Jace Beleren, okay, the Mind Sculptor, right? This is not the same Jace Beleren as Arcane Strategist, right? They play entirely differently. Do we agree? Or here, let me use.
I'm not following.
Wait. Hold on. All right, here. Teferi versus Teferi, hero of Zhalfir. Okay, hold on. Where's... How do I open both of these? Oh, here it is. Okay. Teferi, Akosa of Zhalfir, he cares about creatures. Right? He cares about knights. He cares about the battlefield. He cares about creatures. Okay? You can follow that, right?
Yes.
Okay, he cares about creatures. Teferi, hero of Dominaria, does not care about creatures. He cares about counters and removing things.
Yes.
They're both Teferi. Also, you got really silent. They're both Teferi. They are not the same champion. They're not. So in League of Legends terms, okay, why is Varus so good?
Why is Varus so good?
Because
Varus can play in multiple different ways. He has multiple different builds.
Varus is Varus, comma, give him 3 different titles. That's why Varus is so good.
Varus is Varus, hero of Dominaria, or the Mind Sculptor.
Yes. That's why Varus is good. And he can choose what he wants to be during the draft.
Ooh, that's cool. That's a cool comparison for somebody who actually plays Magic.
Yes, right? Renekton is not pure lethality Renekton, right? Renekton fucking hero of Shurima versus Renekton assassin from Shurima. They're not the same just because it's Renekton. You got really silent. Okay.
I'm gonna just send this mic back. It's fine. Okay, it's fine. I'm just done with it. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. The mic, it's not listening to me. Okay, I can't control it. This is a great analogy. I'm blown away. This is very cool to understand champions as like the name, and then the title in terms of this analogy are how you build them.
Yes.
The assassin versus Renekton the bruiser.
Renekton. All right. I mean, let's do this with another. Let's do this with another champion. We can do this with another champion. Let's use Annie. You have mid lane Leandri, Rylai, Annie, who's a nuker, right? She controls things versus Emax support Annie with Shurelya's.
Yeah. Who's an enabler.
You just change her title, right? Annie, comma, the Dark Child. Maybe that's her mid lane one, and then Annie support is Annie, comma. Friend of Tibbers,
this happens with Gragas a lot.
Yes, Gragas is multiple. Yes.
You see him, the obese assassin in the jungle. Right?
What did you just say? I
can't. Sorry. He flies out and hits you with the stomach and one-shots you in the jungle. Sorry. Come back. I'm cooking. Sorry, I'm cooking. And in top lane, he's the cooldown machine, right? He's sending out the body slams. He's putting his Q out as the zoning tool. Hey, come back. Where'd you go? Okay, someone told me to turn off auto level mode. That was my brother. Turn off auto.
I heard obese assassin, and I got some ideas myself.
What? But in top lane, he's a tank because he plays with Roa and Cosmic Drive and Seraphs, and he can stand in front and he can use his Q as a zoning tool, and his E is such a low cooldown, and he plays with Phase Rush, so he gets in, he does this combo on you, and then he's able to move away really fast, but then keep you tethered to him so that he can keep body slamming you to enable his other teammates to follow up on his engage. It's very cool that he takes a different role, that when I'm playing jungle Gragas, I can't show and be at the front. I have to be in fog. I have to be thinking about how I can flank people. I have to be using terrain to my advantage to E into like a fog place and then like flash, or E over a wall and then flash like into over another wall. Like there's lots of different angles that you can take, but you have to be thinking of Gragas as 2 different champions, because when I played him jungle for the first time, I was like, oh, I can't stand in front like I did when I'm playing top lane because I have Rocket Belt. I'm gonna get one shot, and I did. But then I learned this difference, and it's very cool.
Do you remember when I was talking to you? You were on C9 at the time, and Vulcan was the support, and we were talking about Morgana. And I kept... this also happened with Isles, right? Where I basically said Morgana is not what you think that she is, right? Because of functional fixedness, right? Where they will say Morgana can't land Q, or something like that, right? But I'm saying that Morgana is really good because of Black Shield invalidates or removes key aspects of the opponent's draft.
Oh, but you have to play her specifically around that idea.
Yes, you aren't looking for Q picks. You're not looking to hit a target. That's not what she's Morgana, you know, whatever, like the fallen angel. No, that's not what she is here. She's Morgana, fucking Darkness's ally or something. Like, you know what? Like, she's a different Morgana.
That's so interesting. Yeah, she's really like mainly one ability. I mean, when you play Morgana, like she can actually use all of her abilities as her main ability. Now that I think about it more, where you can have like mid lane Morgana, where you play around like your Tormented Soil, where your Tormented Soil one shots the wave. You can play like a typical support Morgana, where you're like using your Q and you're like using that as like your main CC spell. That's very cool design for Morgana. That she could play 3 different ways based on what ability she chooses to spec into the most. That's super interesting.
Or how she just chooses to alter her playstyle.
And maybe we should see all champions more like that.
Yes,
where
that's how we.
Every basic ability is a different idea of that champion that you could move into a lot more. That if you just think of a base or a champion as like maybe even 3 different, but maybe you could do more than this, because different abilities and different builds will interact. But if I give the champion the space in my mind to exist as like 3 full different champions, Gragas is like this too. Sometimes you max E on Gragas to deny trades. Sometimes you max W when you're playing tank Gragas to win trades against other tanks. And sometimes you play Q to stay out of, or to poke the opponent to get CS from such a long range.
Right.
That's so interesting that the champion can basically exist as like 3 different champions. And I think it's a more full and more fulfilling approach to the game to think of champions as this diverse and this free, and like having this many options, because you see the champion as a more complex thing.
Right.
When you think it can be this many different things.
Yes. Yes.
Instead of just this one that you typically see it as, right?
Remember the combos
possibilities
we used to have about Ornn when I used to tell you to stop? I used to tell you to stand in Fog of War behind your team with your R.
Oh yeah, and it's like it's sometimes I'll be in the front and I'll be ulting to engage the fight, right? But now I see nuance between when I need to engage as Ornn and when I need to be the response that breaks the opponent's engage. And it's
stifles them. Yeah.
Ornn that way. Yeah, it's beautiful to see Ornn that way. That Ornn has like 3 different ways of just using his ult, and that your role or your thoughts about a champion will influence that so heavily. So if I have like, and even if I have like, let's imagine I have like Wukong on my team. I have like Wukong and Galio, right?
Yep.
I am probably not going to stand in the front of that team comp. Because I'm going to wait for that engagement
for Galio to land.
My ult is going to get the kill. My ult's going to kill them now. Where now my ult is like this assassin tool, because I know that I'm going to get the full damage and both the brittle procs, which is a lot of damage. But if I'm in the front, the engage likely won't even happen.
Yes. Now
it won't happen like that.
Like let's use Karthus, right? What about Rylai's Karthus, who ults at the start of the fight?
Yeah, it's the same with Karthus, and I feel like it can be whatever champion you talk about is going to be.
Yes. Now we're breaking free from functional fixedness. This is why I lose my mind in pro play drafts, because now we can take this concept and we can expand upon it and realize that there are certain champions that almost no matter how hard they try, they can't break free from this. Or let's separate all 4 of their abilities as different titles. Right? In a way. Or like their kit. And then let's acknowledge that 3 of their titles are just not playable. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter that title exists. It's not viable as a card. Do you know what I mean?
So this is to bring this back to this question I asked you. This is what you mean when you say that you want to identify the core abilities of champions. Is like what's typically used or why people typically pick them.
Because sometimes
trying to get them to be picked more.
Yeah, sometimes in an MTG, like in a card game, there might be 2 iterations of a character that exists, and they're both viable, but they serve very different roles, right? So like right now, one of the things I hate the most is I say B1 Vi is you can't B1 Vi, but every pro team in the world B1's Vi.
And what do you think was the response that makes it?
Why is Vi picked?
Okay. Well, I think I sort of understand why Vi's picked. I think the junglers that are currently being picked, Vi will have good 1v1s against. Like she'll typically be able to win 1v1 against a lot of the junglers that are being played right now. She has easy engage that's super easy to understand, super easy to follow up on, and a super clear like power spike where it's when to play around Vi, because at level 6 she gets this like super easy gank tool, super easy engage tool. I mean, there's some other things that I don't think are like specifically the reason why teams are picking her. She has good mobility with her cooldowns, like Vault Breaker surts you across the map really fast. So it's easy to get from one side of the map to the other. So the presence of Vi in a game might feel really high, because you could be like, oh, I need this Vi to be top, and she can get there a lot faster than other junglers, other champions. But I'm not sure if that's exactly why people are picking Vi, for example. And I'm sure there's like a few other reasons, but like I think that's generally why people are going to play Vi.
Okay, so her W and her E are sort of like passives. We would agree on that, right? They're
barely spells.
Right, they're barely spells. They're barely spells. Now, they do enhance one of the things that you mentioned, which is her dueling prowess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Vi is getting picked. She must engage. Do we agree on this?
Yes. If she doesn't engage, then she's just going to keep farming, because she can't interact at anything at a range. She can only auto attack, right? Even when she's queuing, she's going into melee range to hit you.
Those titles of her kit, those versions of Vi where she's just auto attacking you and fighting, is significantly worse than other titled cards that exist. So all that we're really looking at now is the two main points that you mentioned, right? Which is her early game prowess, which you can sort of make up into one title itself, and then her R, the engage. Sounds like that's a really committed theme without just getting completely neutered.
Yeah, you're pretty committed to like getting those conditions for yourself.
Right. So then how is she a B1 pick? Unless she violates the game, which she doesn't. We know that she doesn't.
Yeah. The answer is because that's not how it goes down.
I understand that.
The answer is that's not how it goes down. It's because you pick Vi and you know the pool of junglers you're going to play against already. You know what you're up against. So you pick Vi because out of the pool of champions that are likely to be picked, you know that Vi is going to have like at least an all right matchup. You know, you're not expecting something to surprise you that's going to be so strong against Vi. That doesn't mean that it can't be picked, obviously not, but it means that you're B1ing Vi because you're checking the enemy team, that they're not going to do it. They're not going to pick something different. They're not going to divert from what they've typically practiced. And that's basically what you see, is that it's just matched. The enemy team just picks like Wukong or Maokai, or like maybe they pick Poppy, right? And that's it. Or Lee Sin, right? They pick Lee Sin because they think the enemy team that thinks like, oh, Lee Sin can like win the 1v1 matchup against Vi, like something like that.
It's playing against that title. It's playing against that title, right?
Yeah.
But we've already established though that if you remove her ability to engage, which is not affiliated with that title, then she's reduced to the brawler version of the title. And when she's reduced to that, then she's virtually useless, right? So when she's B1'd, you should acknowledge that she is not a malleable champion inside of draft, and that she has a lot of functional fixedness because of the nature of her current balance. So you should, as soon as she's picked B1, it doesn't matter what you went into the draft wanting to draft. Your entire game plan should just be against her title card, because you see it, right? In real time. You can sideboard in real time.
Yes. If you could sideboard in real time, you know, like the player who could sideboard in real time wouldn't lose.
Yes.
It'd be so unreasonable to like see that you're against a red deck and then sideboard cards that just like win the game by like turn 4. The win rate you'll have against that red deck will just be crazy if they don't have the opportunity to sideboard against you.
Well, that's hilarious. Yeah. Imagine you see that you're against a red deck. you're against a red deck, and then you try to do stuff. Yeah, you just start randomly adding different things together. It's like, what? What are you doing? You're like a control deck, and then you just start adding creatures for no reason. It's like, what are you?
There's very specific attacks. Like I know the cards that I see when I'm playing aggro in the current standard, that if they drop it on turn 4, I have to quit. There's a 4-mana white card I can't quite remember the name of, and there's the 4-mana black card as well that when I damage it makes me sacrifice permanents. I have to scoop. If I see that card, because if I can't kill them, if I can't go over their head and just like shoot them with damage, it's over.
Right.
And those sort of attacks are where you're going for, right?
Right.
I'm playing Vi in that case, and I have to go in, and if the opponent is able to make it so that if I engage, I lose all my permanents,
Right.
then yeah, I can't play. But it don't go down like that. That's why it's safe to pick 5.
But it doesn't go down like that because pros don't want to view the game like that. Even though you can find so many examples of how the game does transformatively develop like that. You know what I mean? But they would say that it doesn't go down, or not. They wouldn't actually say that. It would, you know, they'd have other things. They would talk about variables that are intangible, right? They would talk about how they feel pressured, or like these other types of things that mean different things to different people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, it can be very hard. It's very difficult. It takes a lot of introspection to get to that point.
T1 and Gen G are not going to feel the same pressure by having Fog of War against Golden Guardians, Rivers, Jarvan that Cloud9 or Evil Geniuses or FlyQuest are going to have. They don't feel the same way. It's not pressure to T1 or Gen G. It's just, there's a Jarvan in the Fog of War. We have to play accordingly. There's no pressure. It's not a real thing.
That's so interesting. I recognize something in myself that before I started to dig into patch notes like this and really find out what changed with champions.
Right.
I think more of what I was doing, if a champion that I played got nerfed, is it became more about that champion getting changed, not even the fact that like the change might not matter or like what the change actually changes.
Right.
But I guess it felt like an excuse to me.
Right.
About like why that champion might be bad or why I might lose now on the champion, where I feel like now myself in the past was making excuses to not get better at the game because the champion that I was playing got nerfed. Does that make sense? That I was focusing on that instead of focusing on how I could make better decisions.
Right.
Yeah, that's so interesting. That it's really hard to see it more objectively than that. And it took me a long time to be able to like dig into patch notes and understand what actually changed. And my initial reaction was like, oh no, my champion's worse. Now if I queue up and I lose, like it's because it's like it's just the champion got nerfed.
Right.
When in a lot of cases it's because I'm bad at the game. But I don't recognize it like that. I don't see it like that. I mean, now I kind of do that. If I queue up and I play Olaf now, I'm not losing on Olaf because I lost that like 10% attack speed. Like, come on, I can't account for this. If I lose on Olaf top now because of this attack speed nerf for the 5 damage on
But I will say,
it's because I'm a noob.
Yeah, but I will say that, so Olaf's changes, I will say that I think that, so we talked about before, maybe Ezreal you have to play 1,000 games at the highest level. I think Olaf's is way less. I think you do 21v1s, you will actually notice a shift in the other direction. You know what I mean? I think Olaf's is much more noticeable at the highest level. Think about how many Q undertows.
You lose an auto attack. You probably lose an auto attack.
Right. And think about how
like
many
damage on your Q.
solo kills happen in Olaf lanes.
At the very low HP, yeah.
Right, exactly. So Olaf is noticeable. That one does stand out when I'm reading a patch rundown, because like that is his tendency. That is what he looks for. He's always looking to get you into lethal. That's his game plan, right? So now when we know that that's his tendency, we know that's his play style, we can then expand on that and think, okay, if Olaf now plays 50 games with this nerf, how often does it actually come into play when it is a guaranteed, like, you know, like lethal thing going on? I think the number does shift more in that direction, but he's still fine.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't think I'll have to play, like, I haven't played a game yet where I like had a kill or like a fight where I knew that like the nerf had like altered the outcome. I just haven't had that, but I know that it will happen eventually. But what like I'm specifically talking about is like when that happens, I probably could have made better decisions anyway, but I might use that nerf as an excuse to stay bad and stay mad.
Kribo's on the, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, no, Kribo's
that even if the nerf changes like how the champion can interact, you can definitely still play that champion to success, like at basically the same degree, and that because there's so much, I think the difference in the champion's strength is less than the player's ability to use all of their stats.
Right.
I guess that's it, right?
Yes.
Is that if champion mastery is the most important thing, then even when champions get nerfed at this scale, then it's still the most important thing is that you get better at the game rather than focusing on like the champion's nerfs or the champion's strengths. It's still just like the gameplay is what still matters.
Right.
It's so interesting. I just realized that about myself, that like sometimes I'll use nerfs as an excuse to stay bad.
There you go. You know, there it is. Oh.
Yeah. So like the Wukong clear? Yeah, kind of like the Wukong clear. Like someone might see that nerf on Wukong and think like his clear loses time, but players were just bad at clearing on Wukong. It's not like I'm the fucking Wukong clear god. I'm fucking up in the center. Let's not saving time on that guy.
Players are bad at clearing on Wukong, and because we are able to determine that it doesn't change the decisions that you're going to make on Wukong in terms of engages, it does not prevent you from picking Wukong going forward.
Yeah.
So,
and, like, being better at clearing is way more important than the change anyway.
So
this is just
now,
a distraction from you getting good.
Now we look at Janna. Let's breeze through these really quick. Janna, she gets 10 base damage on her spammable poke ability, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
Spammable?
AP ratio. Well, I mean, she does use it every time it's up in lane, no?
She tries to.
Yeah.
You probably get like 4 or 5 in a lane.
Okay. Now, people have magic resistance, so what is this actually, like, you know? Like, people have magic resistance, so for each W, you're probably getting, like, what, 6, 7 damage per cast in lane?
That's a Janna auto attack.
So, yeah, your Janna is probably getting a Janna auto attack in lane.
Yeah.
AP ratio up by 0.10, doesn't matter, she doesn't get AP.
People don't build AP on her.
I
talked about this.
I mean, this is disgusting, man. It's disgusting.
This one, it helps bad players, but if you're good at Janna, you are already using her shield in response to damage coming in. That's already committed to coming in.
Right.
So the E decay delay won't matter for most people who are really good at playing Janna. But if you're a noob and you suck at casting your E, this might prevent some damage because you'll use your E at the wrong time and maybe someone will just hit the guy you shielded and then it'll block damage with the extra time. But no, at the high level, this doesn't help Janna. This isn't doing anything for Janna.
Yeah, okay. Janna's also already good, but no one plays her. So that's another really fun one, right? Because we do the title thing. Now, if you go through Janna's kit, you realize that she has many titles and that her titles are actually like pretty important in current meta.
Totally.
Kha'Zix's Q base damage up by 10.
I mean, I'm sure you actually, I don't even know if you clear faster. This is what I thought when I read Wukong. I was like, maybe he loses time. But like, what if you don't actually get clear any faster on Kha'Zix because of this? What if like the clearing on Kha'Zix, like people are just still bad at it?
Right.
So the gap from people being bad is actually bigger than the buff anyway. Right. Like, I don't know. I doubt this matters at all, and I wouldn't make any different decision because of this.
Yep. Okay, Kog'Maw, passive damage. Why do you want to die?
Kog'Maw is a champion that actually really needs to stay alive. He really needs items. He really needs to generate gold and XP as fast as possible. Whether you're playing AP or AD Kog'Maw, on AP Kog'Maw your levels are extremely important, and on AD Kog'Maw your items are extremely important.
Yes.
So dying is bad. You can't get gold when you're dead. So it's buff when he dies, so you can lose the game anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, Q cooldown 8 seconds to 7 seconds. E mana 60 to 100 to 40 to 100. And then E slow 20 to... Yeah.
The Q cooldown, are you spamming this to trade with people? I don't see Kog'Maws using their Q like absolutely off cooldown to trade with people in lane.
Right.
Maybe that's happening.
No. It never happens. It never happens.
It doesn't?
That is not an ability that you cast immediately off cooldown. Because the positioning, right? They could know that it's coming off cooldown. They could just back up.
It's not like Karma Q. Karma Q you can bounce off minions with the lollipop at the end of the range when it hits a minion. But Kog'Maw can't do that.
Right.
Kog'Maw has to hit you with line of sight, and you don't get that easily. You're not going to be able to hit people with this extra second. E mana down 20. That's great. Check how much mana you base with every time. Like It's gonna be the same, man. You're not going to get through a lane
And
phase. Because
I want to point out that for AP Kog'Maw, you max E first, so
then at level 9, it's not a buff.
it's not a buff, right? Right. It's a very minor buff in laning phase, right?
E slow. I should look more into slows because I don't know a lot of the outcomes of these slows. Like I don't know the difference between a 20% and a 30% slow, and I doubt many people at all do. But maybe you could actually act on slows more than we are. But I don't know. So I can't do it because I don't know. So I'm not able to leverage this buff at all on basically any champion that gets an increased slow like this because I don't know the difference and I don't know like what's possible now.
Okay. Next change. This is actually potentially big, but I want to see if you are like thinking on the same wavelength as me on this one. Leona, W bonus armor and magic resist up by a flat 10.
Oh yeah.
And the magic damage on it is up by a flat 10. Yep. Okay.
I think, wow, Leona's wave clear is getting better and her bonus resists are getting better.
Yep.
Can she play top lane?
That exactly.
Can she fight?
That's exactly it. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. That's it. Can she jungle? Like, can she play top lane?
Can she jungle?
You know, that's the meme in my my rundowns, right? Whenever a new champion comes out, I always ask, can he jungle? Like, can they jungle? Like,
yeah. I think Leona can jungle, but I think a champion like Nautilus is probably better in jungle than Leona. But I would be interested in top lane because I think Leona's a better top laner than Nautilus is.
Yeah,
especially with this AoE buff.
Yep.
So
she's also a low econ champion. She can go down 30 CS and it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, her mythics are going to be cheap. I think. How much is Even Shroud? How much is
Even Shroud? What is it? 25?
Even Shroud.
2,500.
2,500. And I think Locket is also 2,500. Yeah, I think Locket's
2,500 too.
2,500.
Yeah.
So these are really cheap mythics that you can get really fast, even when you're behind. You can finish these mythics at the same time as somebody who completes something like Sunderer, even though you're like 30
even though you're
down.
behind and see it. Yes, this was the stuff I used to talk about with Ivern. That
that Ivern would be behind.
Well, no, that he was always so brokenly ahead because he could keep up with the fast clearers. But his items were so much cheaper, so he suffocates them.
Faster.
Yes. He accelerates too quick for them to deal with. Mm-hmm. It was another reason why Mid Karma was so broken. Her 2 items was what 1,600 gold less than the opposing mid laner.
Oh yeah, if she bought like shit.
This was the Fiend's Unholy Grail Karma.
Yeah. So, this was the support karma.
Yes, she was really broken in mid lane because she interacted with a part of the game that is single player that the opponent can't interact with, which is just gold accumulation. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Farm more. I get
yes. Okay. So, all right. So, Leona, is this going to potentially make you pick Leona now? I think the answer is no, but now she needs to permanently be remembered for every patch going forward.
If she gets buffed again, I will legitimately try. If the buff has something to do with her trading or her wave clear, I will legitimately give her a try. Because I will try my best to remember a change like this, and I will look through her patch history to notice something like, oh, her trading keeps getting buffed, her mana keeps getting buffed, where she's able to like keep spamming her spells on the wave. The magic damage for like hitting all 6 minions with her W gets buffed. This is all great. Combined with her ability to buy items faster, I'm like building this resume in my mind for, is this champion pickable? Even right now, she might be, but another buff would give me so much conviction on giving it a chance because I would have such a strong argument for it. And then only then would I have this would all be on the research end. And then only then would I try to build up the argument for the application of it. Actually playing her and fighting matchups and then explaining or breaking down some matchups. Like I would think that Olaf would just destroy Leona. I would think that champions like Darius would just destroy Leona.
Right.
So I would have to go through and play these matchups and try to build an argument for why she can either survive them, why you have to just pick her in specific spots. This is all on the application end. And we're not there yet. This is all just trying to figure out if it's possible and why it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Go on to
Lilia. Monster damage cap 50 to 150 to 70 to 150.
I love the clearing ones because I don't know if they matter. So for all the clearing ones, it's like, I don't know, bro. You have to go test it. You have to sit in practice tool for 20 minutes and figure out if it's faster.
Yep.
Or else you get nothing out of this. Like champion healing. Okay, it goes up later. Oh no, it goes down. It goes down with a higher AP ratio. I don't even know what the fuck that means. Now we have to do math to figure out if this matters. Who looks at this Lilia change and is like, yeah, dude, Lilia's broken now? How do you know what this shit means?
Freaks patch rundowns do a fantastic job at doing that.
He breaks down the math?
He breaks down the math, yep.
Beautiful.
He does a really good thing. And he has a, yeah, yep.
If you don't do that, you're just drawing the conclusion from the numbers that look cool to you.
Well, now you need over. So the way that this works is you need like over 250 AP, right?
I don't know, bro. That's too much math for me.
I think you need over
2 hours long because he's doing math the whole time.
Yeah, that's actually why. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So Nidalee. Okay, so let's move on to Nidalee. 28 to 32, armor growth up by 0.3. So what's the first thing that you think of?
I think of champions like Kindred and Lee Sin and Graves.
Nope.
And maybe she. Oh, well, I think
there's no way. No, because see, everything that we've been saying up until this point, there's no way this armor value matters.
It's the first thing I go for. Is like, does it actually change?
I think of top lane Nidalee.
Yeah. Next thing for me is, can she go in a different role?
Right. Can she go top lane? That's the first question I ask when I see this.
But then it'd be the same question. Like, does the armor matter in top lane? It's just less explored, right?
Well, like, she gets higher. She gets more base levels in top lane, which means that the armor growth is faster accelerated.
Yeah. But
and also she's getting hit by minions, whereas like the jungle monsters don't really matter.
That's true too. The blocking minion damage, or like you also you'll buy armor items on Nidalee top. You might buy like plate of steel caps, or you might buy like even something like Warden's Mail. You might buy as Nidalee. Maybe you take no damage from the melee minions, for example. But I think you just typically have more conviction that the jungle matchups that we already have seen so many times aren't going to be greatly shifted by just an armor buff when that accounts for such little damage, and you're more interested in this lane that you have more curiosity about, right? There's matchups that she hasn't been played in lane she hasn't been played in, and now she's getting a buff, and now you look at the buff history, and if she continuously got buffed in ways that haven't affected her in jungle, well, maybe all those buffs were not for jungle. Maybe they were all for this different lane that you could approach with a lot of curiosity. Like, you don't know if Nidalee's supposed to be a jungler. Maybe she's supposed to be a top laner. Maybe she's supposed to be like a support or something. And I think this is a very cool way to approach the game. I think it's very fulfilling and rewarding to seek things out like this, and then find out that it actually was buffs towards a different role.
Yep.
It's a very what's up?
No. We breezed through these last ones just so we can start comprehensively talking about it. Poppy Q HP target damage up by 1%, W bonus resist up by 2%. So the 2% does not matter again, right? Like this doesn't change why you're picking Poppy. The Q target HP damage, the only way this matters is if it alters her wave clear.
Yeah.
It's the only way that 1% matters.
Faster.
Right.
And if you can kill casters faster, you get so much time.
Right.
It's such a huge buff.
Yes.
This is what I mean when I read these numbers, and I'm like, I have no idea until I start breaking down exactly what the breakpoints are. I can't draw conclusions.
All right, so now we've finished all of the champion buffs. Is there anything in here that actually has transformative change at the pro level?
Oh, man. Not what you're talking about, because like there will be transformative change for the champions that get picked because some outcomes will be different, but those outcomes won't be accounted for, really.
Right.
You're talking about like strategic differences, like picking champions in different positions, building differently on different champions, actually leveraging the stats to like do to make specific moves, right, with foresight. I don't think that's happening in this patch. No.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is the point of all these buffs?
Store them in your mind. You put them in your memory bank. Okay? It's a big memory test. You remember that it happened, and it's one little dot. And then when the next patch comes out, 13.9, you gotta do it all over again.
Why not do all of the big changes at once?
Why not do all the big changes at once? I don't know. I mean, this is the MSI patch. That's why I was asking you, like, what would you do for an MSI patch, right?
All right. Let's go champion nerfs. Aurelion Sol 95 to 90, armor growth 4.3 to 4. Is Aurelion Sol unplayable now because he has one less auto attack in lane? Is this it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Jarvan 80 growth down by 0.4, Q damage down by a flat 10.
Now I play Jarvan jungle, okay?
Yep.
And I can tell you for sure, this doesn't fucking matter.
This doesn't matter at all. Right.
This doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
Now, sometimes I'll miss a kill. And when I miss the kill, I'll be like, the fucking Jarvan nerfs. But really, I probably just suck. I probably just suck, and I'm not able to like. It's way more likely that than the 10 damage. That it's likely easier for me to find an extra auto attack than the nerfs were so oppressive that I can't get like these kills here. That's what I'm going to assume first, rather than the champion sucks.
Right.
Shadow Cane. 9 seconds or 8 seconds. He builds a lot of cooldown in his kit, so 8 seconds to 9 seconds matters very little here.
Yep.
You're just gonna be stacking cooldown anyway. It's gonna be less than a second of a nerf.
The bonus MS going down, I would say, actually does matter for traversing the map because you use multiple E's.
Yeah.
You actually are covering significantly less ground. You're actually going to get one less E, depending on how much distance you're actually trying to travel.
Oh yeah, because certain walls you need to.
Yes, you have to move, right? Yes. So Shadow Cane's nerf.
But like maybe I know when you're really fast on Blue Cane, when you're really fast. You get to the inhibitor.
Yes.
Have you ever done that?
No.
You might not be able to do that now. But if you have like Ghost Blade and you have fucking boots and shit, and you activate your Ghost Blade and you have like death respawn speed and you E through the Nexus and you E through like the second turret, you can like Q just barely into the inhibitor. And you might not be able to do that anymore on any breakpoints.
Yeah. Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, I can just use it whenever I want. I was trading over minions. I was trading over time.
Received other buffs since then. You know what I mean? It was already pickable, and people just didn't realize it. They needed the placebo nerfs or placebo buffs to get people to start picking him.
Yeah, this is another. It's another nerf where if you're like losing on Malphite, it's not the buff. It's you, dude.
Yeah,
it's you. It's not the nerf. It's not the 20 damage. And a lot of times you're not even getting the 20 damage. It's really like it says 30 through 70, but when you actually see the nerf, it's going to be 5 at every rank up.
Right.
Does that make sense? So you're not really losing 20 every time you lose W.
Right.
You're rarely losing 20 every time you lose W.
And also, you're not really losing almost any damage early laning phase, like first recall. Right.
And then when you get to level 9, the bar for like the 20 damage actually mattering. Right. First of all, you're not picking Malphite to solo kill people at level 9. It's not the same as something like Olaf, where it is important that you get kills or like accelerate yourself, because the speed at which you generate gold like snowballs and compounds on itself. You're picking Malphite because the champion has Ground Slam, which reduces attack speed on champions. He has an armor passive, which is really good against a lot of AD champions. And even like stacking things like armor penetration is not so strong against Malphite because he can get like 500 fucking armor. And his ultimate as a easy engage tool, right? Like these things make Malphite good, not the 20 damage on his W.
Right. Correct. The 20 damage on his W is not his title.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
They're not his auras. Yes. It has nothing to do with it.
Yes, that's not his identity.
Right.
His identity is not about trading W with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because he could do that doesn't mean that it's why you were picking him.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Which is like when it's like when a planeswalker has like 4 abilities or 5 abilities, and they have like one that you never use.
Yes.
Huh? It has one that you never use, and it's like, well, I mean, he could do that. Doesn't, like maybe 1 in 100 times or something you do it, but like, yeah. Okay, Rakan gets. We're just no. Okay. And now Cosmic Drive. Item updated. See previous post. Okay, so I really have to go to the bathroom before we go to the conclusion of this. I'm gonna run to the bathroom really quick. You can just like talk to chat or whatever. Is that okay?
Beautiful.
All right, let me really run to the bathroom. I really have to go. I'm sorry. Give me one sec. BRB. 1 sec. Oh my lord. Okay, Max,
I have to hold the angle in place to be able to get that.
Can't hear you, by the way. Hello?
Can't even hear me?
I can't hear you. You're so low. Hello? You there?
Sorry. It should be a little bit louder now.
Yeah, you're louder now.
I was talking about, so someone asked me like, how would you save pro play? And I was talking about, I was trying to follow up a little bit on what you were talking about earlier, where you try to capitalize on like core parts of champions kits. So I was talking about like ultimates in the past that were so cool to see that you had to watch the pro game to see how the professional player was going to use that really cool ability.
Like what?
Well, I thought that your example would be like Aurelion Sol.
You went really low again.
I figured out the problem, but I can't fix it right now.
Okay.
I thought your example would be Aurelion Sol ult. That when Aurelion Sol has the upgraded ult, it's like, it's just game changing.
One of the things that I think that Riot could have done is with Nocturne. You know when Nocturne casts Paranoia?
Yeah.
Riot operates on a delay.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. They operate on a delay. There's a little bit of delay on each game, like for the live broadcast. And even if they don't at some events, they could implement it. And what they could do, because they know Paranoia is coming, they could make the screen go black.
Yeah.
And then they could only show the vision of the one person who's about to get hit. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's crazy. Wow.
You went super low again. I think that's a really good idea.
It's because I got louder, because that was such a cool idea.
Like if I was making like an LS tournament and Joe was doing production, I think that's something that I would implement, like on Nocturne.
This would be, I guess this would be the same as like if you ulted on, if someone got Mordekaiser ulted, like the screen only shows them and the other guy. You would have to have some alternative to this where you could see everything. But I think that's super cool for the broadcast to see, like, imagine you're watching like world semis or like world finals. And
imagine there's a Nocturne pick. And so you're in Madison Square Garden and it's world finals and there's a Nocturne pick. And Riot knows that there's a Nocturnal about to happen. So all the lights in the entire arena go out during Paranoia. Yeah. You know what I mean? Stuff like that would be very, very, very cool. And it would create an immersive experience. Or imagine on Aurelion Sol, likewise, the arena does something with the lights to simulate like that there was a comet or like there's an explosion. You know what I mean?
Or rumbling, right? Like you could make the stadium shake.
Honestly, I'm sure that I'm sure if Riot invested enough money, you know how like movie theaters have 4DX?
Yes.
You could have 4D. Now, you can't do this at like Madison Square Garden or like these things, right? But Riot's own studios could invest in 4DX, 4DX like chairs and other stuff, like a movie theater. You know what I mean?
You could. Now, I don't think there's a huge incentive to do that.
God, you keep going so low.
I've never had this issue before, and I'll never have it again because this is like the worst customer service experiments for sure. Like, I bought their mic and I was like,
oh my God, stop!
I don't know what to do. And now, and also your chat is harassing me, telling me to put the mic in front of my face.
Yeah, put it in front of your face.
But then when I do that, the mic just like auto lowers itself.
Okay.
Ellis, this will never happen again. Okay. But also it's Sure's fault, not mine.
All right. Okay. So, okay. So the question is like, what do you do to save pro play? So I think what you're saying about the ultimates is really good. I think I think Riot at the end of every week, okay? At the end of every single week, maybe they send out a list to the pro teams or something that only these champions are like playable next week or something.
Oh man, that makes things crazy.
Well, it's just like trading card games, right? New sets.
Oh, okay. Let me think about this because I don't know if people would go for this.
It's not about if they go. It's not about the pro players, right? We're going to talk about this when we talk about the recession. I don't give a fuck what the pro players want. I really don't. What I care about is the longevity of the game as an esport. I do not care about Larry McFuckfucks wanting his fucking $500,000 paycheck to sit on his ass, complain that he has to play 5 scrims in a day, and then go back and fucking do whatever, right? That doesn't have to do with the game. I don't care about him. I've never cared about him. That's not why I got into esports. And the other players that really care about the game and really like the game are not going to care about the change that I just mentioned.
This is really interesting. That it would reward. It would also create an environment where the most flexible players, the players who are really the best at learning, are rewarded. Not the players who can play the same 7 champions the best for like several years. But it's really about the people who can take information in and by the end of the week, like produce something really great, right?
Yes.
Okay, now...
And then Riot can go a step further. They can make it so that EU, China, NA, and Korea all have different pools.
Ooh.
So the viewing experience is totally different everywhere.
Wow.
What's bad about that?
I think this is really entertaining. I think it
is. I think the only bad thing that you could cite is that the pro players would complain. And I've already stated I do not give a fuck what they want.
Yeah, well, I mean, the league is in danger. All the leagues.
Right, exactly. Yes.
We probably have to put that first to get longevity. You have to put like, how can we monetize more? How can we bring in more viewers? How can we make things more entertaining? And I think what people want to see is more diversity, more excitement, right? And you're going to see that more. You're going to see those like exciting novel moments more when people are put out of their comfort zone.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why the first tournaments after the major Cataclysm patches were always the most exciting. The first tournament after patches? Yeah, what are the Cataclysm patches? The Cataclysm patches are season 7 or 8. Season 7, right? The items. Crystalline Flask goes away and Corrupting Potion gets added. Mm-hmm. The runes. Rune rework. Rune and item rework, right? Number 1.
Yeah.
That's a Cataclysm patch. Another Cataclysm patch is patch what? 810? 810, right? The ADC patch? Where all the ADC's base healths got nerfed and then mages and bruisers appeared in bot lane?
Yes.
It was very fun to watch. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Benched himself because he couldn't play the mages and all of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Immediately after durability patch, a lot of people said the game was more enjoyable to watch. But now they're complaining again.
Interesting. Okay. First of all, I think I fixed my mic.
Okay.
Second of all, very interesting idea. I think that would shake things up a lot. That you have access to so many champions, but what if you had like weeks of professional play where the only champions being picked are ones that have like almost never been picked before in pro play, and you had to work like, what genre? I mean, I'm sure this happens in Magic, right? Where you have to use cards that are very bad, like trash decks. I've been watching a lot of Pokemon content that I've recently.
Well, this is why draft is so exciting in some ways in Magic.
Because you have to use some of the bad cards. Yeah. That's it.
And your mic died.
So I didn't fix it. I did not fix the issue at all.
You did not fix it.
That sucks. I'm not sure exactly how to fix it, but I'll figure this out. So.
Yeah.
Sort of this happens. Oh, I guess this would happen in Limited too, when you have to build your own deck
Yes.
And your cards might be all trash, right?
Yes.
But everyone, it's equalized, so it's not there's
well,
no like random chance.
No, sometimes people do get unholy like imbalanced decks.
I mean, in League it's equalized.
Oh, in League it's
Magic,
equalized. Yeah. Yes.
And I think it's cooler when you have the equalization, but everything's like bad or everything's so broken. But we don't have that right now because everything's so balanced.
Right.
But what would be so cool is because you're claiming right now that everything's so well balanced. What if you started playing, or what if you got the pro players to play like 30 champions that they had basically never played in professional play before, and then that became like the champions that they ended up like sticking with or like practicing a lot, because they might discover that they're actually good, but now they're actually incentivized to put the time into them, whereas before they aren't at all because they could just play another game of Zeri or Lucian. That's how you incentivize teams or pro players. I guess it's not really an incentive. You're just making them do it.
Right. At that point, yeah. But with viewership and everything else happening the way that it is, and with players basically having no transformative value outside of the games, right? Like we talk about like player brands and stuff, right? On Twitter and content and social media and like all this other stuff, and they're not doing it, right? Riot should do something. And this is what I tried saying in the balance patch thing, right? Where I acknowledge that placebo buffs and nerfs seem to work with pro play. And so I would hope that Riot does more of them.
To shift things around without actually shifting things around.
Yep. The other thing that no one ever mentions and they never talk about, okay, and I always talk about this, and I was tracking it last year and then I stopped doing it because I fell out of contact with the guy that was doing it. People always reference win rates patch to patch. What they will not do is a comprehensive view of it, right?
Of win rates?
Like for instance, Annie's not in this patch, right? She's not in 13.8. Show me her win rate in 13.8. And then if she's not in 13.9, show me her win rate in 13.9 too. Does it fluctuate by 0.5%?
Probably, yeah.
Right.
Probably.
So then how can Riot then accurately make these claims that they're going for 1 or 2%, up or downs, when you might discover that there is just a trend? Do you know what I mean? Or like not a trend, but like what is going on?
Yeah. So I from the conversation you had with the balance team, it seems like they're aware of how certain patches, even though they don't include certain champions, they were able to predict that champions that didn't get touched were actually becoming stronger and stronger by the patch.
Yes.
Something they mentioned was that apparently like in 4 or 5 different cycles throughout the years, Caitlyn has been like the strongest champion by their projections. Somehow they've projected this on the patch before it ever got picked in pro play and without major changes, which is super interesting that they're able to see that through like analytics, I guess, before it happens. But I don't think they're accounting for this in every case because that just it sounds
almost
so
impossible,
gargantuan,
right?
To account for every champion that doesn't get affected by the patch.
I mean, I'm sure an AI could do it, but
yeah,
I don't think humans.
But I don't think we have access to that kind of stuff right now. So when a champion has a different win rate because of nothing that we can account for, like we would obviously chalk that up to like player error, right? That players are losing more games because they're making mistakes, right? Am I missing something? And then when they get changed, when it changes by like a percentage or like goes down by a percentage, why do we use like specifically like very different reasoning for that? It could be basically a very similar thing. Like Wukong isn't clearing slower now because he got nerfed. That was all player error. His clear speed was all a result of just players clearing ineffectively on him.
Right.
So how can I trust the win rate? See?
Yeah.
I have to use different reasoning than that. Or be very comprehensive about it, right? Like check over the course of years. And I don't even think I'm qualified to look at like a graph over the course of years of win rates and be able to draw accurate conclusions. So I don't do that. I'll look for things that are really gross. If a champion has like 56% win rate, I'll try to figure out why that's happening, because it typically doesn't, because the game is so well balanced.
Right.
But yeah, other than that, it's very hard for me to see. It's also very hard for me to make this microphone completely fucking stay the same volume all the time. It's just absolutely impossible. Okay.
All right.
Did you want to talk about the recession a little bit more?
Yeah, we can go into the recession. I think that we really hit the nail. I mean, I feel like we talked about the patch pretty ad nauseum. I mean, one of the things pending like FlyQuest's permission for it. Like, if you want to join for the next patch rundown and we talk about it more, you know, maybe that's something that we could do.
I'm so ready to do another patch rundown. I mean, okay. Do you want to do 13.9 because we
13? No. Let me do. Let's do 13.9, not 13.8. Yeah. So we can do 13.9 pending FlyQuest approval.
I don't like this either. I don't like that I see the patch before it comes out.
Why?
So long in advance. It makes me really confused when the actual patch is going to come out. Is it like every week you get the patch, and then when I see the patch, it's the same thing?
No. It's not. It's not always the same thing. It's not.
Okay. So you want to do the Twitter post for 13.9, or is there 8 right now? Maybe I'm getting this wrong.
Yeah, we'll do the Twitter post for 13.9. Right.
Yes, the Twitter post for 13.9.
Yeah. So about 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah. That's
okay. All right, let's move on now to the recession, which is obviously coming. Now, you said, was it yesterday, right, that I was like very ahead of this the last few years when I would talk to like you and Fudge and like Nemesis and Crowny, and I would really try to tell you guys that you have to care about your brands.
No.
What?
Let me break this down for you, LS, okay?
Okay, all right.
You were ahead of this in 2019 when you talked about teams not having brand power.
Okay.
Or like organizations not having brand power.
Oh, when I argued with BBQ?
This is 2019. Is the instance that I remember when you're talking about that organizations don't have brand power like some of them never did and some of them used to.
Right.
But they do not have the same sort of brand power as like any organization does not have the same type of brand power that TSM did in 2013 or 2014, when any player that got signed up to TSM would turn their Twitch stream on and get like 20,000 viewers.
Yep.
Just an unholy amount.
Yes.
Right. They would just turn their stream on, and TSM had the brand power to platform these people like so heavily.
Right.
That doesn't exist anymore. The brand is not doing that.
Right.
I cannot explain it any better than Devin Nash did in his hour-long video explaining why esports is in danger. But to put it in very simple terms, and I highly recommend that everyone goes and watches this video, anyone who's interested in competitive esports, in very simple terms, because teams have a lot of responsibility to pay a lot of money to operate in a team and to have a slot in the league, and don't have the best opportunities to make money themselves, because it's very difficult to monetize that team in terms of like selling things, and Riot doesn't give you the opportunity to do things like skin selling or like rev sharing. Now recently they've done things like giving emotes out to like Cloud9 has an emote, for example.
Right.
And in Valorant, I think this is a little different.
Yep.
A lot of teams have to get money through sponsorships. And that's what people are typically accustomed to, is that sponsors are like the main way that teams get money in. And what'll happen is that you do these deliverables for sponsors, which is typically things like tweets or content. And it's turned these companies that like make these videos for content and make these tweets into just that. They're just companies like selling you this brand. So like Cloud9, for example, when we're doing content, we would come in and we would do this like video for a deliverable for a sponsorship. And it's really hard to get players to fully participate in that, because they have to make such a huge sacrifice in their eyes, because they're not practicing. They're trading practice for doing something that they really don't care about, because they aren't invested in fulfilling the sponsor deliverables.
Right.
They're invested in becoming the best player. That's what pushes them to get to the position that they're in. So players are not going to be bought into doing those deliverables for content. So then we produce bad content, and then we basically have players that in the content that they are in, they don't have a lot of personalities. They might even seem like they don't want to be there, or pretty robotic.
Right. Well, I think they don't want to be there.
And then
right.
And then the outcome is that you get tweets from teams like the one that Devin Nash uses is like an extreme example where Evil Genius's Twitter account has like 600,000 followers, but their tweets will get 10 to 20,000 views. It's absurd.
Right.
Because of this product of like of the money of a lot of responsibility to spend on the team's end, a lot of responsibility on the players' end to just like practice.
Right.
And then the content being very bad because it's soulless.
Right.
Coming from because you have to do it. And
right.
I don't think any of the players are bought into doing it.
Right.
So this whole idea.
Your mic died.
Got it. This whole idea, I think you were ahead of in 2019 when you talked about brand power and how it's better for an individual to build their own brand or to invest in themselves so that they don't rely on an employer or a company to like have this sort of money or have this kind of career. Because what I think we're going to see in the next couple of years is we're not going to have the same sort of money coming into the LCS from venture capitalists. I don't think we're going to see. We're not going to see money like this ever again, like 2021 and 2022.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
Right.
So for the players who haven't been able to like build a lot of brands or become a personality, it's a big warning for them that they won't get the same sort of money that they're getting right now. And what should they do in the face of that?
Right.
And like you were saying 4 years ago, the answer is to stream, to make content, to tweet,
yes,
like make videos, become
right,
a personality and like set yourself apart.
You remember we used to have the Discord channels, right? Me, you, Fudge, Crowny, Nemesis, Mal, like all of them, right? And there would be conversations where I'd be like, tweet this, retweet this, you know, like reply to this. You know what I mean? Like I would link a tweet that's not affiliated with any of us and I'm like, you should write a comment below this tweet. You know what I mean? Like to Fudge or something. And I would do a lot of this with Nemesis. I would like, especially like when he was living here in Korea and stuff, I would try to get you guys to see that, because I was the biggest thing, I think, like I was trying to tell Nemesis, like, if you want to like last long term, you stream, you don't play. You don't join a bottom tier LCS team, mid tier LCS team, or like whatever, right? You stream and build your brand. And it's going to be rough at first, like it always is. But that's the best way to have longevity, because then you have power as an individual.
Yeah. Then you have control over a lot of outcomes. And then if you have that first, that's also bargaining power. That's also negotiation with teams.
Yes.
Because you have an alternative now. The team isn't.
And when you have tangible... Oh, sorry, you went really silent.
It's fine, I was done.
Sorry, go ahead.
It keeps your options open because the team isn't the only thing that offers you value. You can also stream. So this gives you a lot of negotiation power. Go ahead.
I mean, it happens with even like Riot and casting and stuff. It just in general, like this happens, right? Brand power is really important, but also businesses or the brands themselves are aware of this. They just don't talk about it, right? Which is why you can see some players get away with murder. And also why you see that some teams are just willing to just completely drop or disregard someone.
Interesting. Yes, but it's not talked about because it wouldn't be advantageous for any company to be pointing that out all the time.
Well, it's not advantageous, but like, so let's talk about let me talk about this because I can use myself as an example because I think that you know about this with BBQ, or like the BBQ incident, right? We actually talked about the BBQ incident yesterday. I was only able to stand up to the BBQ management for like you and all the players because I had the brand power that I had.
Oh, it's even more than just like terms for the agreement.
You went silent again. Now?
We can make a fucking montage out of this. The phone breaks, failtage. It gives you even more. It's not just about that it gives you like negotiating power before the fact for like terms of your contract or anything like that because you have alternatives to go to. It even means that like during, like you can't be subject to like really bad things happening to you. Because you have alternatives. Like you still have
yes. when they blew up on me in the living room. You know what incident I'm talking about. You were sitting to my right. When they exploded on me, and I'm unfazed by it. Because I said to them, you need us more than, like, we need you. Because they needed franchising. And the foreigners were sort of the fucking unicorns. Like, that was their big play. So I fucking, you know, I had LCK casting. I had my stream. I was on CLG. I was making more money from every other source of income than BBQ. So when I went to bat for, like, you to get you your, you know, like, the stuff that they owed you and everything, or, like, get the players out of their contracts, or get them to actually take Seb back into the house so that he wasn't on the streets, I have all of that as leverage against them with my brand. That has nothing to do with my affiliation to them as a player. Most pro players in League of Legends can't do this because most pro players are the team that they're attached to.
Yes, they're that is the only thing that offers them value. So when that is like brought into contention, or when that is in the conversation, they have to bend to that.
Right.
And then you don't have freedom. Yeah, it's tough. And it's not so clear when you're like 17 or 18. It's not clear at all that, like, you're trading your time for this in this way. But, like, it's so clear now that it's such a better investment in yourself to try to, like, stand out as an individual, to like be on social media, to be posting videos, to be streaming, than it is to just be in a team, like, just getting paid by that team itself. Because the investment in the future that you get from having a brand compounds into everything that you're going to do. But when you're in a team, I mean, lucky enough for, like, all of us in Cloud9 is that we're a team of great accomplishments. So we have that leverage to us, that since we won and we did great things together,
right?
That's great for our longevity and great for our career.
Yes.
But there's a lot of people who don't have that,
right?
And who also don't have personal brands. And those people, they have to figure something out, because the same type of money isn't going to be coming in. They have to find a way to, like, get longevity for themselves if they want to keep playing games professionally for many more years. They have to find an alternative to even this if they don't want to build a personal brand. And I'm not sure. I think for them, it's like pivoting away from competitive games or esports. I think it's important, very important, to have a personal brand.
Yes.
And to be, like, known as an individual.
Well, I also think this is the future of esports in some ways, right? Is getting major content creator collaborations. Look at Moist Critical in Ludwig, right? Look at Ibai with Koi.
Oh yeah.
If Mr. Beast buys a team, if XQC ends up getting involved, like,
the influencers are the future of esports, because they have the money to lose. They have the viewers to bring in. They already have an audience that's willing to watch them.
You said it right there. Influencer. That's the word, right? TSM in 2013 was an influential brand.
Yes.
It's not anymore. It's just a brand now.
It's just a company.
Right. It's not an influential one.
Yeah. But now what will be the future is the influential people, the influential individuals coming in.
Right.
The people that you know.
Right. So I think that the recession is coming, and modern day pro players are not ready for it. Well, I mean, we know that it's coming. It's actually going to get worse. So there's already a couple of things that are not being talked about. One, I don't know. I did not see any news about this. Apparently, actually, no. Never mind. Because I think people would be able to deduce where I'd get it from. Never mind. Okay. I'm not going to say that. But
okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that. I caught myself. See, look, I've improved so much. Yeah, people would easily be able to deduce where I got the information from. So there's going to be a massive recession. Like, salaries are going to get cut again. They're already getting cut heading into summer.
I saw this post this morning about the LCK introducing a salary cap.
Yes, so the LCK is introducing a salary cap. Apparently, LCK has the highest average of any league in the world right now. And a lot of it is because of Faker, Chovy, Showmaker, like those players. So LCK is the most expensive league in the entire world. And the salary cap's going to come in. Now, the problem is it's like what I was talking about with you. the LCS, the players cannot live on a salary cap. If the salary in California, right, if there's a salary cap implemented and they get $150,000 a year, and then after taxes, the amount of time and stuff that they have to give up in their life, I don't think it's worth it anymore.
Yeah, it's a very hard job. It's not like you're working 40 hours a week, at least typically, especially if you want to win. Like just on my end, I was like, there's at least, so let's do 4 scrim days, and I wake up.
So hold on, let me without saying actual numbers, can I just ask you a really quick question? Are you making more now than you were on C9, or that you would have made this year?
Than I would have made this year. Let me think about that. Okay. The answer is that I definitely can, but I'm not doing things right now just to like farm money.
Okay.
Like I'm not streaming every day. I'm not producing like as many videos as I could possibly do. I'm more focused right now on making investments into myself.
Right.
So I'm focused on things like reading books, like giving myself more education, making myself more equipped. I think these things will translate into so much more money. So much more like success and so much more fulfillment for myself than it would have if I didn't have the time to put into myself. But I don't think that I'll make much more, but that's not the measuring stick that I'm using to determine like success or not. I think this year is like already so good for me, so successful for me because of all the investments I'm making to like make myself like
better,
more equipped to handle challenges. Yes, better, make myself more full.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's already so much better because of that, where I'm not measuring it strictly by money. I already like consider it really good, really important.
Oh, that's good. Okay. So yeah, but you're doing all of these things and you're aware of it and you're ahead of the curve. And I think that there's a lot of players that are on $400,000, $600,000, $700,000 salaries. They're not ready to get knocked down as much as they're about to get knocked down.
No, it'll be a shock to them, and they won't
handle it well emotionally.
They won't know what to do
right
away, because it's not like I knew what to do right away. I had a lot of time and a lot of the right people like explaining to me how things were going to go down.
Right.
And because I was equipped by people more experienced than me, I was able to get ahead of it. But not everyone has that luxury.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it will be a recession, and I think a lot of people are not ready for it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot more news on this coming in probably the next couple of weeks, and then obviously during the off season. And then another thing that's going to be very interesting during the off season is the type of sponsors that teams and leagues are going to turn to. Will definitely make. I'm curious of like. You already know what I'm referring to. We got some new we got some new sponsors on the block.
I never thought of that teams will want that same kind of money.
Exactly.
It might turn to whoever to get it.
There's only one way, and don't get it twisted. Oh my god. Don't get it twisted, Mr. Waldo.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Okay. So that'll be interesting in the off season of this year. That should be very, very interesting.
How people are going to respond.
Let's see which ones actually materialize. They already exist. They're just not in plain sight. You know what I mean? Yeah. They already do exist. They're just not in plain sight, right? E.g.
more money.
Right. They already exist. They're just not in plain. Why did I repeat myself like 3 times? But yeah, that'll be very interesting. Especially because a lot of people are very oblivious to the fact that the average League of Legends viewer is very old. Like, actually, right? People always say that, like LOL streamers and stuff are streaming to children. No, they're not. Like, Riot has known that the average viewer is over the age of 21 since at least 2020.
Do you know like historical data on that? Has the average viewer aged since 2015?
Oh, it continues to age every single year. So I had a meeting with someone who's no longer at Riot. And it was at LOL Park. It was Bilgewater Cafe at LOL Park. And we had a meeting and it was in 2020. There's leaves on the trees outside in my memory. I'm not remembering what exact month this is, but it must be in spring or summer. But I remember where we're sitting and we're having the conversation about the projections. And they tell me that based on everything that they've seen, because they're thinking about their own job and trajectory, they told me about like the average viewer age and the expansion, and other types of things that Riot is like planning, and acquisitions that Riot is trying to do, and like leagues that they're trying to make, and all this other types of stuff. But yeah, there's a heavy indication that the average viewer is just old, right? And there's the nade shot thing on Reddit. Where is the nade shot thing where he talks about the age? It's like 1 in 5 people. Oh, here it is. Nade shot. Worry about the future of LoL in North America. Kids aren't playing it, and the only prevalently played MOBA in the US. Yeah. You pull 100 16-year-olds into games. I imagine maybe 5 of them are going home to play LoL after school. Now, my 3 brothers are 17, 16, and 14, about to be 15. And 2 of them tried playing League of Legends, and they said that they don't like it. They just play Valorant. They play like Apex. Let me actually see if one of them's online. Hold on. What is he doing right now?
Okay, because that's what you said earlier, is that if the average viewer is getting older every year, it means that there's no new players. It's aging at the rate of everyone aging.
Right. Yeah, here. I'll just show this chat with my brother. It doesn't show
in NA, yes.
I don't. No. I think it doesn't. I think it doesn't show. No. I think it doesn't show his. How do I screenshot? How do I screenshot a Discord thing without showing?
This is Boomer LS mode.
This is actually Boomer LS, but I want to edit. Can I edit his name on Discord so it appears different to me?
Yeah, you could use ShareX, but it'll take you a while to like figure that one out. Grandpa.
What? Wait. What? Wait.
Got him.
All right, hold on. I'm making it right now. Hold on. I gotta make it in Paint. I gotta block out his thing. You know what I mean? Give me a sec. How thick is this? Okay, here we go. Okay. Rectangle. Oh my god. Hold Max. Don't do this to me.
Good. Oh, no, it's good. It's good.
Max, don't do this to me.
It's fine. You can make fun of me too. I don't know how my fucking microphone works.
Dude, I don't. Why am I? See, this is why I need Joe, man. I would just be able to give this to Joe. Okay, we're good. All right, now I can do desktop capture, and I can show this. Okay. So hold on. Let me window capture, properties, Paint. Boom, got it. Okay, great. Okay, now you can see. He asks me if I still played Warhammer. So this is taking place, I think, in like December because I did a sponsorship, right? And I said, no, it was just a sponsorship. I only play League and Magic. I said, I can't play other games. He says, okay. I asked him why he doesn't want to play League because he just ended up getting a computer, right? And he said he does. And I said, actively. And he says, I don't know. The game is all right. I just get bored. But that's mostly because I have ADHD and there's a firefight going on. I lose interest. I don't know what the hell that means. And then I ask him if he plays Valorant, and then he starts playing that. And now over the course of the last couple of months, he does just primarily play Valorant. That was Boomer me, man. Hello?
Whoa.
What?
You still hear me? Do I sound better now?
Yeah?
Okay, sure. I don't know how my mic works. I'm also a boomer. Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think during this. Like, I'm trying to think of what appealed to me so much in 2010 when I was 11 years old and I like was completely obsessed with the game. And still am like obsessed with it 13 years later. Like, I still really love the game.
Right.
But I mean, it makes more sense for me to be the person who loves the game, who's been
because you're
invested in
incentivized
it.
to, because it's your livelihood.
Yeah, and like even if it wasn't, I'm just invested in it for over 10 years now. So I'm
Right.
gonna keep being invested in it more likely than someone who's trying to get invested in it and is like struggling to have that, where they don't have that same attachment, whether it be because of livelihood or just time that they
Right.
spent playing the game. They don't have that. And I'm wondering, like, is the game harder to get into now? And like, yep, totally. It is
Right.
harder to get into now. It's so much harder for a new player to pick up League. They have to read encyclopedias of information, and we don't have like good ways to onboard new players. And now we're back to this other issue where it's like, fuck, if we can't get new players to play the game because they're not willing to take on this like behemoth task of learning everything that's in the game, then like, what do you do?
I just read a comment. I'm so sorry to interject. I just read a comment, which is by Tom Shu here in this thread about Nadeshot. He says, it makes sense to me. There's so many games vying for NA's players' time and attention. It's hard to have a real controlling market share like League does in the East. This is a really good point. So many games get released, it's hard for Riot to control all of them. Now, we know that Riot did this in the early days. Do you remember when, if you were a part of LCS, you could not stream other games?
Oh,
you remember this rule, right?
Yeah,
Riot did try to stifle it. Yes. Riot used to have rules that if you were a League of Legends... now, Riot was really smart. This was their way of trying to do this. Trying to suffocate other games. Now, guess what Korea does?
Oh.
Riot is very, very, very keen on making sure that League of Legends is nice and snug in Korea. So, anytime another game comes out, Riot will push promotional stuff for League of Legends. They will cover every possible like advert thing that could come up, right? They'll just drown it. Then in addition to that, they'll offer shitloads of incentives if you go to the PC Bong and you play League at the PC Bong.
And this is what I thought. The angle I was going for was maybe when new games get released, Riot will like push advertisement at PC bongs.
Yes.
Like so that you like League of Legends is on the front of the computer when you turn it on. Like discounts if you play League of Legends.
Yeah. No. Yes. There was an event. There was an event. I'm pretty sure it was in 2021. Your PC bong time was doubled as long as you're playing League of Legends.
Yeah.
So you get the most bang for your buck.
They can just buy it all up.
Yes.
To farm your attention. So
yes.
That you think that League is the only game.
Yes.
You can't do that in America. At least
can't do it in America, right?
Well.
Right.
The advertisements, like the country's too big. You can't just buy advertisements all over the country.
Right.
And the internet doesn't work like that. That's shocking. Yeah.
Kind of nuts, to be honest. Now, I'm surprised, though, because Japan got blasted. Japan is dying as a League server. So I guess Riot failed to do it there. But Japan is probably a different beast. But obviously, so China, League of Legends will still continue to exist forever, right? The same way that Warcraft and Starcraft still have pro leagues there. So, I mean, I think this stuff is going to go on. But anyways, circling back to this, yeah, the recession is coming, and most pros are not ready for it. And I think that like streaming and all this other stuff becomes increasingly more important. And I think investing in streaming and stuff like that is going to become a lot more important, right? Which is why like this year I took on the partnerships that I did, right? So that I would have more capital to be able to invest. Now, I will say that I think that I did a really poor job at this so far, right? Because there's some stuff that happened that I can't talk about in total. However, like one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm turning the entire living room. Like you saw the YouTube walkthrough, right? The house tour on YouTube.
Oops.
What? What?
My bad. I didn't watch that.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, okay.
Maybe I watched it, I just didn't see anything.
Okay. So the living room and the YouTube house tour, we're turning it into a full studio, and then Tuv, you know Tuv. Tuv's agreed to come back out to Korea, and then he'll help learn production with Joe. And then I am gonna get the same thing that Riot has on their broadcast, that smart screen. You know what I mean? Like the analyst test smart screen? Yeah, yep. So I'm gonna end up getting that, and then I'm considering like having boot campers be like a mock analyst desk.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like during co-streams. So I do the actual stream.
Have your own little production.
Yeah, have my own production, have my own stuff. So I'm hoping that that is fully fleshed out and functional for summer. And then other types of stuff. But also, I know that I'm making like really big risks with like the financial investment into all of this. But I mean, I feel like this is what's necessary. The same way that what's necessary for pro players is to stream more, make more content, engage more on Twitter, do all of these things.
Which is also a big risk for them because that's the trade-off of practice. You could spend all your time practicing, right?
Right.
But this is all like opportunity cost. Where do you want to spend your time? And for me, it was like I want to be investing in myself as much as possible. I want to give myself a lot of information, give myself a lot, equip myself a lot to like handle problems and like handle like stressful situations. And teams will do that for a while, but eventually you get a lot of diminishing returns.
Right.
This comes from the level of even playing League. You have to identify when you're getting diminishing returns. And then when League is your main focus, you have to determine when you're getting diminishing returns. It'll go out to like every layer of your life that you have to identify like what is the biggest area of improvement you need to focus on right now.
Right.
And I think if a lot of people really thought about that question, they would realize that they have to equip themselves for the impending possibility of an esports recession.
Right.
Yeah, it's a process. I wasn't able to do this just on my own either. I needed a lot of help from a lot of experienced people. So that's why I'm trying to warn others now, like, yes, this is definitely happening. You have to equip yourselves to do this. Otherwise you're not going to be ready on the day that it happens. Because it hasn't exactly hit yet. It's a little bit has happened. A few things have already happened that signify a recession. But
the people that I'm most curious about that you and I both know is like Fudge, right? Fudge did a really good job on social media the first couple of years, right?
Yeah.
And it also helps that he plays really well, because that used to be one of the things that he talks about, right? Is that as long as he plays really well, it means I can hype him up more. And if I hype him up more, then his brand grows more. That used to be legitimate conversations. Like he was very concerned with playing well, so that not only just me, right, but like Doublelift, Don, like everyone can continue to grow his brand for him.
Compounds.
Right. Effect. He was very cognizant of that. That was why he was most concerned with like playing well. Or maybe not. That's like the biggest reason, but it was definitely one of them. But Fudge is someone who I believe dislikes streaming. You know what I mean?
He streamed yesterday.
Was it obligated? You know what I mean? Was it forced or no?
He did title it annual stream, so maybe we're not getting another one for another year. He may have titled it his annual stream.
Right. But then there are people that they might think that streaming's okay, and then they'll start doing it and realize that they hate it. This happened to Zamudo while he was out here. So Zamudo was streaming. So before he came to Korea, he was averaging like 5 viewers. Then he was here, and he would passively get like 90, 100, right? If I was offline, he'd get like 90, 100 viewers. But then while he was grinding solo queue and stuff in January and February, he would talk about how chat was like destroying his mental health. Like he would just see comments about the game or like opinions from people that are like very low MMR or like something like that. And it would really get to him. Now, I'm not saying that he can't feel that way, but it's a part of the trade. You know what I mean? Like, you have to deal with this.
Yeah, and I think if I don't know if he specifically means negative comments, but like for me, this stuff is like a step in the journey of like dealing with negative comments.
Right.
I can give an example from myself that I know that I can deal with negative comments, but I haven't been doing it in what I think is like the most fulfilled way of doing it, because like in 2020, people were super negative about me. I hear from other people on like Reddit and shit about like how Cloud9 was doing in like spring and summer. I never. Oh yeah,
remember what's his name used to go for you all the time.
You guys post.
No. Look, what was his name used to gun for you? Remember? Who? On Twitter.
I don't know who.
Peter.
Was that like in 2021?
Remember he used to target you and Fudge in some of his tweets?
Oh, sure. I mean, that stuff didn't matter so much. I mean, like there was like a big part of the internet was after me in 2022.
Okay.
and I didn't read it. And what I think now is that if I could go back, I would read it all. Um, does that make sense? I want to read it all because I think that and being able to handle it that way is is better. Being able to read it and understand that's like not what I'm doing, and that I'm like and still be able to make good decisions in the face of that, I think is like a step forward from where I was at that time, where to make the decisions that I thought were going to be good for like for us like doing well, I just didn't read it at all because I thought reading it would actually make the quality of my decisions worse.
Right.
So there's a lot of steps in this journey that he'll probably have to take in terms of like dealing with negativity. And the step that I was at in 2022 was to not see it.
Right.
But I think there's even more steps that you could take where you see it, but it doesn't bother you.
Right.
That you can act how you think is best to act, despite reading the comment that you think is frustrating or negative.
Correct.
So that's a part that I love about streaming, is that it's a skill that you can develop and grow in like anything else.
Right.
And while that might be something that Zamudo, for example, says that he really doesn't like, I think that he'll be able to like grow past that. And maybe he'll like streaming if he becomes like, if he gets to a point where he can handle that, where he can either not see it and get it a little bit further, like he can stream and tolerate it because he doesn't see it, or go even further and like stand up in the face of it and like still play the game well and still like explain what's happening and even like talk to those people, despite what they're talking about. So I think that these things shouldn't be seen as like roadblocks. Maybe he really doesn't want to do it and he sees an alternative, but I think he's going to encounter something similar in a lot of things that he does. And for him to really grow, he'll probably have to stand up to that in some way.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I love about it, is that like you improve no matter what, and you just have to sort of keep going, and you have to. That's why if I identify that like esports is not best for my longevity, I would improve at the same things on a team as I think I would improve on in streaming.
Right.
They're like very fundamental ideas. So I'm just trying to pick the one that is the best investment to myself.
Right. Oh. Wonderful. Wonderful. What else is there to talk about? Anything? You think?
I don't know.
What do you think we wrapped up? What?
Oh no! Oh, this one got to me. Psalm of Planet said I only use my throat to talk. I got vocal lessons, and I've been trying to use more of my body to talk, but I don't know. That one cuts me. That one cuts me where he says I'm only using my throat to talk. I'm sorry. That one.
No, it's fine.
Now I'm embarrassed. My vocal coach
fine.
is probably watching, looking down on me. Nah, it's fine. Yeah, fuck that guy.
No, but... Oh my
Shut
god.
the fuck up. Fuck that guy.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else to really go over? I don't think so. We already touched on at the very, very beginning before the podcast started. We touched on the drama that's going on in the League of Legends scene right now with like Cookie. So we don't have to talk about that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, at least for now. And then obviously you and I talked about making a podcast a reoccurring thing, but we'd have to figure out like a theme to it. Yeah, we'd have to figure out like a theme to it, but hopefully that's something that we can figure out in the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can have it be a reoccurring thing.
And we need a title.
We need a title, true. We need a title, yeah. People can tweet or DM us what the title is.
Yes.
You know?
I'm looking for a good title. That's the biggest one for me. If I see a good title, I'm like, damn, let's do this. Let's talk about anything.
Right.
I'll talk to Alice about like how the fucking pyramids were built, as long as there's a good title.
What? What? Wait, what? Where are we going
Max's
with this?
Throat.
Oh, so also you're coming out here in May, right?
Oh, it's so complicated. There's so many things going on.
Okay, you're likely coming out here in
I'll
May.
give you more context. Likely. I'll give you all the context.
Okay.
There's just, we got to go all over the place.
Okay. So Max is likely coming out here in May. Tuv is coming out here in May. If you guys know Tuv, dude, I heard how Tuv was doing the edits lately, because I don't know if you've noticed this. All of my highlight videos come out like an hour after the match ends.
I did notice that.
He's just in God form. Okay. So he has finagled it so where he is downloading the VOD as it's happening, and he is editing while it's happening, and he's just listening for keynotes. so that he can like remember that he has to edit something at the specific point.
Whoa.
Dude, he's a speed demon. I've never met an editor that is as efficient or like thinking of ways to like better. So that's how he gets all the videos out so quick. But Tuv's gonna come out here in May. We're gonna build the studio in the living room. Max will come out here. There's a lot of other boot campers coming out, and the stream scrims resume. Now, Cat Evolved is sick with COVID, so we have the best mid laner in the world filling in for tomorrow's scrims. RJS D&D God True.
Let's go.
Let's go, dude. Let's go, man. So yes. So the stream scrims resume tomorrow at 7 p.m. I think that we're doing 5 games at 7 p.m. We might lose all 5 if it's anything like the first block of scrims that we did, where we went 1 in. We went 1 in 5 versus T1 Academy the very first day when it first happened with when me and Nemesis did the scrims. So that's going on. But then as more and more boot campers come out, we're going to have more cycling of players. Like Tarzan will play in some of the scrims. Darshan is coming out here. I'm sure Darshan will play. Zamudo will play.
Oh, yeah.
Treats, when he comes out to Korea, will play in the stream scrims. Like, it'll be very good. It'll be good content. And then I'm figuring out, like, if we get enough players and stuff, then maybe I can make, like, cast type stuff, and then Joe and Tuv can produce it. It'll be fun. It'll be good. Very good, very good.
I'm looking forward to those scrims.
Oh, let me ask you, because I'm going to make a tweet at the very end of this stream. Who do you think the best public coaches are right now to get in League of Legends?
Vigar V2.
Vigar V2? Crucial?
Sure.
You?
Yeah.
Max WALDO?
Myself, but
what are you? You're 400 an hour, right?
Who cares about my rank? I'll go try to climb. Yeah, sure.
Or is it 1.5 hours?
As fast as I can. Oh, yeah, that's my price. Yeah. It's an hour and a half. Okay. It likely goes to 2 hours. I normally, my coaches just go to 2 hours. I'm trying to find ways to like get more and more value. I like do notes now too, where after the session, I'll watch the person play again and I'll write them another like page of notes talking about the things that we talked about.
What is Vigar?
How he can go a step farther. I think he's like 140 or 125.
125? Okay.
Yeah.
What is Seb?
I don't know.
I don't know. He has me blocked. I can't check. Do you have a way to find out or no? Is it on his Twitter?
I'm sure it's on his Twitter. Patreon for coaching and tips. Let's see. No, I can't see this anywhere.
You can't see it?
Malice, you gotta fix this, Malice.
Yeah, he has no promotion.
It should be really clear how to get coaching from you.
Yeah. What is Sawyer's Twitter?
Sawyer. Oh,
it's Sawyer like 247, right? No.
Yeah.
Wait, is it?
Sawyer's another good one.
Wait, Sawyer. Like he has no handle. Like, what is it?
I don't know.
Sawyer lol.
Maybe it's just Sawyer,
his Twitter is so bad.
Do you know this Riven player from Europe? His name is like Alois.
Who?
Alois. He's a Riven player. A-L.
Yeah, I know him.
Yes, I think he is very knowledgeable about top lane. He was talking about some things about controlling waves that like me and Fletch talked about in 2021 that we thought we were definitely ahead of. And he showed like a great awareness of a lot of those same ideas with the wave. He put some really good videos out. So I assume his coaching will be very similar to that. I think he's very knowledgeable about top lane.
I found Sawyer.
Is good too now.
What is his? Wait.
You get coaching with Trudit.
Bi-weekly, $65 for 2 sessions. Okay, you get 2 sessions for $65. Okay. Sawyer is 2 sessions for $65. Okay. At Sawyer2974. $65 for 2 sessions. Okay. Who else is there? Wait, what is your fucking handle? It's just at Max WALDO, right? And you lost your blue check mark.
Yep. Worth it.
Is Crucial spelt correctly on Twitter? It is.
I foresaw the downfall, the rise of Twitter blue, and the downfall of the blue check mark. Okay, I saw the shit, so I was like, "Fuck check mark. I just need my handle."
What is Vigar V2 on Twitter? Is it? Wait, by the way, you went super silent again.
It's fine. It's fine. What is Vigar V2's handle?
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else is there for coaching?
I don't know. I think Alois is very good. I'm trying to think of other people who I think are quite good.
I'd have to talk to him. You know, I can't vouch.
I haven't.
I
haven't talked to him either, but I've just seen videos that he's done.
Yeah, but see, we've said that about people before, and then they ended up being yeah.
Yeah. It is my feeling.
What? You went silent again.
I've lost the finesse. So another thing that I think I'll do, I'm gonna probably start reviewing coaching sessions. Not in like.
God damn it, Max. You're gonna start reviewing coaching sessions? I told you that this was my idea a while ago, but the reason that I don't do it is because I worry about like how much do people try to reframe things and make it something that it's not.
Yeah, I don't.
But like you know the thing you know the thing that happened yesterday, right? Where Anise is saying that I'm harassing him because I quote retweet Hamza. What?
Well, I'm sure he feels like you are harassing him. Okay?
How am I harassing?
I'm sure that's genuine.
Dude,
like
I've made him. How many videos are there on any of my social medias about him?
I don't know. Maybe a couple.
I don't even think that. I think that he's brought up in the podcast. He's brought up in the podcast with you and me, right? But now, like, look at some of the other creators, right? Like Cookie, Tarzan, like people that have him in the thumbnail, name in the title, like whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If quote retweeting something is harassed, like that's not even the definition, man. I don't.
I'm sure he feels that way, but
he might feel that way, but that's not what it is. Like what? It's the weirdest thing in the world.
I think that's the way to see it, is that he probably feels that way, but it's not really what's happening.
Oh man.
But yeah, I wanted to review some coaching sessions and like try to make it like positive, try to make it like constructive. Like if I can find something that I think would help the person coach a player better, I would try to like point that out. Like if you're thinking about like ways that you can help somebody break out of like problems that are going to be big ceilings or big limiting factors. Like I think I could do reviews of coaching sessions that the person who did the coaching could watch and they would feel good about watching me do the review. That's what I would aim for, is that am I doing a review that the person who did the coaching session could watch and feel like, okay, this is meant to help me.
Right.
This person's actually trying to give me value by doing this review, so I'll listen to it. Instead of feeling like they're being like attacked or something.
Right.
That's what I'm going to go for. So.
Okay.
What you up to?
No, I'm just thinking. Well, I'm gonna go and spam Emilio after this podcast.
Cool.
I have to do some stuff for FlyQuest, and then I'm gonna make this tweet on where people can get like the best coaching, like in the Western scene, because that was brought up a lot with the whole Cookie stuff. Was that he was like an EDU content creator and he did coaching, right? And then yeah, so I don't know. I'll just make another one of these tweets and I'll tag everyone. I don't know anyone else, honestly, off the top of my head that does it. I really don't, because I will not vouch for someone that I don't know about.
Yep. I
and if I have seen stuff that they do and I think that it's bad, I'm not gonna like, you know, like, like for instance, there's that one coach. He actually has coach in his title, like his name. It might be him. Yeah. I don't particularly think that he's bad for the regular average whatever person, right? Well, it's no secret he doesn't like me, and I do not think that he's of any value to high level coaching, right? Just based on the content that I have seen. Doesn't mean it's impossible that he could, you know, because knowledge isn't linear, right? You know, everyone knows different degrees of things within the game. You know, he could certainly know things I don't know. In fact, he does know things I just don't know, you know, about the game. But like, I wouldn't say anything bad about, I wouldn't say anything like bad, you know, But I wouldn't promote him. I wouldn't champion him the same way that I would some of these people on the list. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you could just put him in like a mentions if you want to do that. Like,
oh, that's pretty good.
These
yeah,
people would be like very, very useful to like all different levels of play, and then like mentions, and you just put everybody else who you think is like useful.
Yeah,
to, like,
that's okay. All right.
Specific MMRs.
Yeah. What is his fucking Twitter?
I don't know.
Wait, he follows me. Oh, he followed me again. I don't know when that happened.
Skill cap videos are super good for like the average player. But
but I have problems with skill caps that I'll talk about with you off stream. I have problems. Okay. I'll talk about it with you off stream because I noticed that you did did you get a sponsorship or what? I saw the reel or something.
No. I just
talked about
okay.
Okay.
Like if you're a bad player, if you're like silver gold and you're watching that, it'll probably help you. But like most educational content is just going to help you.
Right.
Anyway. But then when you get to higher elos, it's like,
by the way, why do we not just make a website with everyone on this list?
I'm making a website.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is why not make a website with everyone on this list?
I can add people to my website.
Okay.
But do you want to make a big website?
Yeah, I want to make a big website. I mean, I have the web developer, the guy that made drafting.gg.
Let's do it.
You want to do it? All right, let's fucking do it.
Let's make a coaching website. That's what I can do.
Okay, let's make it.
Yeah,
all right, fuck it.
Vigar has his own website.
We're gonna have to fund. We can co-own the website if you want. You know what I mean?
I'll pay for website. I want to go.
Okay. All right, I'll make the group chat. Wait, write me a note so I remember to do this after my FlyQuest meeting. Okay, we'll make a proper EDU like coaching website with everyone. You're gonna have to talk to Malice.
I'll talk to whoever you want. I'll be the ops guy, okay? I'll talk to anyone you need to, okay?
You're the guy that shows up to meetings.
I'll talk to anyone.
Not me.
I'll do the meetings. You just do your coach stream and
I do all the streams and I pump all the traffic.
Dude, I'll handle it.
Hi, Bobo. Bobo, high five. High five. Gribble. High five. High five. No?
I'll be the Wozniak to your. Wait, it wasn't like that. It was the opposite way.
Okay.
That doesn't work totally. Steve Jobs and Wozniak, because Woz wasn't talking to people.
All right, we'll figure it out, dude. We'll figure it out. Who else is there? Is there anyone? Selfie's not doing coaching anymore, right?
He might do coaching, just freelancing. He wants to be a player, but I told him that he should still do freelance coaching, because when you're doing freelance coaching and you have all the time to yourself, I think it still helps you. Right. It helps you sharpen your knowledge. This is what he told me in 2018 too, is that verbalizing your ideas helps you get better at the game. So I told him just recently, like, you should still offer coaching to people. And now you have you even have accomplishments to back it up. Like, you won. You were on C9 and you won. So like, offer coaching to people because it'll help you improve and people know you're good.
By the way, I feel like it's almost disrespectful if I say useful or other mentions and then tag Coach Curtis in that. I'm just going to include him in the list.
Okay.
Right? It is rude. Right. No?
Yeah, it's like underselling him. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like undercutting him. I thought you had like 3 or 4 people to put in there.
No. I mean, do we?
Maybe.
I don't think so.
Just either put him in the list or don't mention him then.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be probably more respectful to him.
Are
there any other coaches that are on teams you think are good? Because I think the only one on a team that I mentioned is Vigar.
Yeah, that's the issue. That do public coaching?
Yeah, that do public.
No, see, I don't feel... fuck. I mean... I'll just include him on the list. People might fucking meme me for... But see, I don't feel comfortable putting him with the others. That's the thing.
Order them.
Huh?
Rank them all. Tier list. Public coach tier list.
No, I'm not going to do that either. I just... Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? There's a difference to me. Like, I would feel super comfortable having conversations about pro players and how to make pro players better with anyone else on that list. You know what I mean? From a strategic...
Don't include him then. Then that's the condition to not include him. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a second tweet then, and I'll have him in that one so that I can elaborate. Because if I don't elaborate, it just looks bad. I don't think that he's bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yes. You just don't think he's that good.
Well, no, it's not even that I don't think he's that good. It's that I don't think he's of value at a certain point.
To pro players, yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and it'll probably be hard for you to like pin down exactly what you mean. Like, oh, do you think he's like useful to master tier, grandmaster, like challenger, pro player? Like exactly where that cutoff ends, I think is really hard to measure.
Right, exactly, yes.
But I think you're observing that it's, at the pro level, it's been reached.
Okay. Okay, I have a lot to do. All right, I'm going to make this tweet as soon as the stream ends. I will make the message to me so that I remember to create the group chat with the web guys so that we can start making a coaching website. And then I have a FlyQuest meeting, and then I have to go spam Milio because I'm going to get my fucking ass blasted tomorrow in scrims. So I'm excited. Cool. I feel so bad for Wind. Did you see the DM on Twitter?
I saw.
I tell him Gnosis is so good, and he says fuck.
Spam Max link stream. I'm not streaming today. I'm gonna go read a book. But later today, I'm gonna be playing some Olaf off stream, just to farm until I get my Ravenous Hydra and then one shot a wave. It's very chill. I recommend you guys go play some Olaf top and solo queue, as long as you can avoid the level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5 gank from the enemy jungler. He's pretty safe top lane, and then you get your item and you're pretty strong.
Okay. No, I'm sorry, dude. I'm looking at Karibo, man. I'm petting Karibo, dude.
What's up, Karibo?
I think he heard you. That's fine. Yeah.
Karibo, want to go on a walk?
He doesn't know walk. You have to say, here, I'll write you the word and then look at his ears when you say it. Okay, ready? You can read Korean, right?
Yes, I can read.
Right here, just say this.
Oh no, my accent.
Wait. Watch, he'll come back. He'll come back. Wait, just say it together.
Sanchek?
Wait, say it again.
Sanchek?
Oh
no, he hates me.
Sanchek?
Sanchek. Sanchek? Oh, there.
He's trying to figure out who's saying it.
Sanchek? Oh, whoa, his ears did move.
Oh, your mic. Check.
Oh, you can just say check. He knows check.
Well, so the way that dogs understand, they don't know language; they recognize sound.
Yeah, and like tone.
So one of the syllables, check. Right? Go ahead.
Check. Oh, he's confused.
Want to walk soon?
Oh,
Bobo.
He's very cute.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna make this tweet. I got a bunch of stuff to do, and then Twitch chat. Beautiful. Oh my god.
It was a lovely 3 hours.
Thank you, Max WALDO. Thank you. I look forward to the YouTube comments.
What are the YouTube comments gonna say?
I don't know. They're gonna ask how I got Harry Potter. Like,
Dude, they're gonna make fun of my microphone. I'll try to fix my mic so that this never happens.
I gotta go do the FlyQuest stuff. I'll make the group chat. I'll make the Twitter post about the coaches, and then talk to Tuv, and then scrims tomorrow at 7 p.m. guys. Yeah. Okay. All right. 7 p.m. KST. All right. See ya, everyone. Huh?
See you around.
All right. Bye, Max. See you. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone. See you later. Bye, Bobo. Bye. High five. High five. Woo, good boy. Okay. All right. See you later, everyone. Bye.